while I get this set up.
I fell asleep when I got back, woke up, watched Raw, fell back asleep, and then woke up at like 12. So I think I just slept for like good 16 hours or so over the last 24.
Nice.
I needed it.
Well, I've been sick for like a week. Still sick, but feeling better.
That's good.
I keep feeling like I'm going to get sick, but then I don't. Like, I'll have like a scratchy throat and like cough for like a day, but then I get better. But then like a week later, it's like, oh, I'm back. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I seem to be kicking its ass. Just, over and over again.
So, do we want to talk about anything about the patch notes at all?
I haven't even seen them because I've been doing nothing but studying up on the cards.
The cards is the most important thing, but the patch apparently went live, or we have the notes at least.
Is there anything of interest other than it's getting ready for launch?
Actually, I think
there's a Sunwell card back, which looks amazing.
Yeah, but that's like stuff we already knew. I think that the one thing though, there is one thing. Hold on, what was it?
I mean, the big thing
they added a hand counter. You will see the amount of cards in your hand.
Oh,
I think they showed that on the stream, the card reveal stream, didn't they?
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
I did not see that or notice that. The release date is officially the 6th, right?
Yes.
Been in a Advil-induced haze for the last fucking week. So.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's like something I didn't know about.
Officially,
yeah, I didn't notice that on the. Maybe it was like before I started watching or something.
This Thursday. We don't know the time.
No.
Oh, Druid of the Colossus transformed now. That's true.
That's
We knew that.
We knew they were going to change that a long time ago too.
We knew that was coming.
Finally happened.
No, I don't think there was anything super unexpected.
Time is
TBD.
TBD.
Frodan pointed it out. Okay.
Time is TBD.
Yeah, then there's nothing really interesting in here that is worth us talking about.
The Fireside thing was really cool.
Yeah.
We should probably mention that. God, there's too much shit going on in Hearthstone. We shouldn't have complained about the drip feed.
I like this better, personally.
I mean,
I'd like to see them shorten it even further.
It's better to... No! How would we do a show? It would just straight up be impossible. We would have to break it up into chunks about the size of what they just did. So they might as well. I mean,
I'm not saying from a show perspective. I'm saying from like a fan excitement perspective.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. And also, we're gonna get to have like a pretty educated discussion about the card reveals today because we actually we know all the fucking cards. Granted, it's coming out Thursday, and we would have known all the fucking cards by now anyway. But yeah. Also, if this is your first time tuning in at the pre-show, I cuss a lot. Fireside stuff. I don't even remember, but it's cool.
Well, it's basically something that happens.
A nearby like GPS feature, which is really dope.
Like when you're at a Fireside Gathering, it'll have like a banner.
Yeah.
I don't know what else there really is to that.
Feature. And
video
and Fireside Brawls.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Fireside Brawls.
My DPS feature. New tavern website.
You could you could link people to this video. This is the designer insights for it.
That's what I was looking up. I just found it.
Cool.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday and already it's like left my head because I've spent all day just catching up on cards I wasn't paying attention to. Damn it. There. That works. Functionality. How do you spell functionality? My brain! All right. We are live, by the way, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't say anything about what that actual Tavern Brawl is, right? Or that Fireside Brawl. Just that it will be exclusive to...
it won't be one specific brawl. It's going to change. They might even make with the brawls like Tavern Brawl or Fireside Gathering specific brawls.
Yeah,
it's going
to like if you're at an official Fireside Gathering, you can like enter that brawl.
Right.
And
they said it like the ones they're going to make for Firesides said, and whatever the hell this means, that they're going to take in-person play into account when they design those.
Sure.
Brawls.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll mention that at the top of the show.
Yeah,
Got a lot of
like
stuff to mention.
it's like another kind of room to enter, right? Like I enter the room of the Fireside, and instead of my friends list, it's like showing me.
Yeah, because
who are there
honestly,
too.
this is all. You know what? We'll talk about this.
Sure,
on the show.
yeah.
This is
I
all
just
good
want to
shit.
make sure I'm like that. I
Up to date,
understand
yeah.
what's going on with it before we start.
Yeah.
'Cause, like that was my impression, but I just barely saw any of this stuff. This was like what 2 days ago that they started talking about this.
I'll break before road.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was knee deep in WrestleMania, so I barely even logged in every day to get my damn packs. I might have missed a day.
I think you'll be okay. I think you'll. I think your regular account will survive.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yep. All right, let's get this ball rolling, shall we?
Do it.
Brr. Can you hear this?
Hype?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Cool. Cool. No one has sent me a Garrett thing. And I'm surprised no one sent this, and I would never add this because it's nothing but cussing. But on the after show for Into the Nexus last week, Kyle went on and on about how he just doesn't cuss anymore because of podcasting. It's just ingrained in his brain. And I had a little wine, and so I was like, well, Kyle, now that you made a big deal about it, Kyle, I demand a fuck. And everyone lost their mind, and I've had that sent to me a couple times. But I'm not going to add that. I can't play that. It's just going to be a bleep. It's just going to be a bleep. So.
Well, you somehow fit in Dills's bigger dick comment, so
Yeah,
I mean
that's
pretty
really
sure.
more like the archivist in me. It's too long to play in the middle of a show. I just love having it.
But you know that the
Excuses,
one that
excuses.
lived probably had like a bigger
Le dick.
right.
Yeah, exactly. That one was sent to me. I didn't make that. Someone sent that to me. I thought it was friggin' hilarious because I remember that episode of The Instance. All right, you guys good to go?
Indeed.
Cool. New episode of The Angry Chicken. It's going to be a long one. Records live in 3, 2, 1. The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, and I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for a long episode, because this is the last episode of The Angry Chicken before the release of The Journey to Ungoro. I'm Garrett Weinzerl. Hello, everyone. Joining me, as always, Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. I am sick. Dills somehow regained his voice after WrestleMania, and Jocelyn
Good genes, man.
is
Good genes.
Jocelyn is just Jocelyn.
Aw.
Just Joss. By the way, Garrett's not just Garrett either. He is apparently one of the emo kids from South Park as well today.
Oh, am I? Yeah. My mohawk's getting long.
Chat room was commenting on your hair as well, so I thought I'd get in there too. I get one in.
Yeah, no, go for it, man. Go for it. I'm really excited with how kind of majestic my curly mohawk is becoming.
You got a freshly shaven new mohawk, which is one of the greatest feelings in the world.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. And let's not talk about what else feels good freshly shaven, because I can go to weird places real
We're
fast.
not doing Harry's today.
No,
right?
we're not. We love Harry's, but not today. They're not sponsoring this specific episode, but that doesn't mean you still shouldn't go and check out harrys.com. But anyways, there's a ton of stuff. We're going to spend the majority of today's episode talking about cards. There's not going to be crazy game stories. There's not going to be emails. We're not even going to do a traditional news segment, but there are some things that we kind of need to get out of the way, some announcements that we need to give you. The big PSA for all of our listeners: if you are hoping to attend BlizzCon, for example, this is one of the things we need to get out of the way before we talk cards. BlizzCon tickets, the first round anyway, go on sale tomorrow night. So this is April 5th. This is a Wednesday if you're listening after the fact. At 7 p.m. Pacific time, so it's going to be 10 p.m. For the time zone that matters to me and to Jocelyn. Dills, do math. I believe it's 9 for you.
It's 9 for Dills, yeah.
Yes, 9
Yeah.
for me, 10 for you.
Yep, exactly. And again, if you have never tried to purchase BlizzCon tickets before, you want to be there the literal second that the tickets become available for purchase, smacking your F5 button and queuing up for a ticket as soon as humanly possible, because traditionally they have sold out within seconds. So, good luck to everyone. And I'm sure, as always, there'll be some listeners in our Angry Chicken subreddit, tagpodcast.reddit.com, who after the fact will be total badasses, have extra tickets, and be hawking them off to listeners for hopefully not too big of an increase. I'm looking at you, Angry Chicken listeners. You be nice to each other.
Yeah.
But
Hook up other Angry Chicken listeners,
yeah,
if you got extras.
for the cost of the ticket, or like maybe a $50
For the
upcharge.
regular cost of the ticket, because you love each other.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't get ridiculous. Be nice to each other. So, speaking of BlizzCon, while we're on that subject, we do want to let everyone know for a couple reasons. Mostly because it's just an awesome event. But Con Before the Storm, which is a conference that has happened traditionally in the Hilton. It might happen in the Marriott this year. Actually, I believe the location is still up for grabs. But it has happened multiple years now. The night before BlizzCon, we have always gone to this, and then we've always run over like sweating by the time we got there to the bowling alley for our own meetup. This year, they're doing something kind of cool. They have always had a Kickstarter, and they have another one this year. And what is interesting about this, not only that it's a good event that you should support anyway, but their first stretch goal is actually to host the A-Move TV and the Frog Pants meetup at Con Before the Storm, which I'm very excited about because for a couple years now, I've attended Con Before the Storm and then run as fast as my lanky legs would carry me to the bowling alley almost a mile away. So I'm looking forward to this. I definitely hope we reach this goal. And if nothing else, I really enjoy Con Before the Storm, so you should consider supporting them anyway. And if you would like to, check out their Kickstarter. I've got a bit.ly link set up. Try bit.ly/constorm17. So go give them, your support. And if you've never gone, I highly recommend it. It's a good event.
It is. And we've always just kind of thrown together our thing just kind of with nothing. So to have a little behind it would be very, very cool and make it a little more official and maybe more able to support the amount of people that actually show up for it, because it's kind of a cluster F right now. Like we just kind of hang out, and some people I think don't end up getting to hang out with us and talk to us. And, it's just, it'd be good to have it at more of an official location with a little bit behind it. So that's cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Hope we reach it.
Just closer to the regular event that everyone is usually close to anyway.
Yes.
So why not?
Yes.
Totally sweet.
And it's not like we ever actually bowl anyway.
No, we never do.
No, yeah.
I have confirmed we will have our own bartender if this hits. So don't worry about alcohol. There will be alcohol. And that's all we did before anyway.
That's important.
So and they like I remember I talked to them and they asked me, "What do you guys need?" And I was like, "A bartender, a room, 4 walls, maybe a roof, and liquor. That is it. That's all we need to have our
We
our
need a pool table. Did you not tell them about the pool table?
Oh
needs?
no, sorry, Dills. You might need to bring your own.
I need to adjust, huh? I can't just pwn noobs anymore on the pool table. Oh well.
All right, so those are our announcements out of the way. Before we start talking about cards, there was a little bit of news, but I'm not going to play a bumper. The big thing, obviously, is that it's official. Ungoro is releasing this Thursday, April 6th, with the the most last-minute official announcement I think in the history of Hearthstone. But sweet, it's coming. We pretty much figured it was coming. Release
then
time.
Bro trolled us all and said the 16th, and then went, oh, that's a little dust. I mean, the 6th. Like, all right then, ha ha ha.
Jocelyn, wouldn't you do the same with that kind of power?
Yeah,
wouldn't you mess
I
with people
probably
just
would.
a little bit? It's intoxicating when you have that type of power. You want everyone to go, what? No, and then you actually give them the true information, and they're just like, you son of a bitch, but they're still happy. They're still happy. We don't know what time it's releasing. This is in line with every Hearthstone release ever. We don't know when it's going live. The 3 of us are planning to do our triple-headed card pack opening fiesta, but who knows when that will be. We're going to try to do it as soon as humanly possible once Ongoro goes live. We're expecting around probably noon Eastern, right? Because it's usually 9 a.m. Pacific.
Sounds
Yeah,
about
that's
right.
what they did. That's what they did last time. I feel like it was the earliest one they'd ever done because I remember being really caught off guard. Like I was just kind of pouring coffee and waking up and stuff and getting ready to start my day, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, it's coming in like 30 minutes. Get ready. What? I am not ready, Hearthstone. So this time I will be ready.
Yeah. I believe I was still wearing pajamas, which is usually boxers. Yep, that's right. I did it last stream. I did it in my boxers. You heard it here first. But yeah.
Also, TGT, League of Explorers, and Blackrock Mountain are no longer in the store. You can't purchase them anymore. You can still play with decks. They're technically still in standard, but you can't actually buy any of that content anymore.
Yep.
We had the patch hit today, right? Which
Yeah.
the patch was like a couple of the background updates so that they don't patch the same day they release the card. So part of that patch was the pulling out of those things from the store and a few other small things, all of which have been announced previously, so we don't really need to go over them all again. But that's already happened.
Yeah. I have already purchased 7 TGT packs. I've got those 7 GVG packs chilling in there. So I believe next episode, if I'm living up to my word, we're going to open a GVG pack.
Yay!
To celebrate the coming of the Year of the Mammoth. And then next year, we'll open a TGT pack and a GVG pack, and we'll just keep doing this until I run out of packs. For years to come. Or until we're sick of each other and kill this show.
I was going to say, is there a reason behind 7?
Because it's the cheapest more than one pack I can buy.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's $10. I forget exactly, but whatever the case. Also, some really cool Fireside Gathering features were announced last week, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because, again, we have just a butt ton, if I'm being technical, cards to talk about. But we're getting some really cool stuff, considering how many Firesides I attend every year, helping Amy with the Orlando Fireside. I am ecstatic about this. We're getting a nearby player GPS feature. The game is actually going to know when you are at a specific tavern, which is, if you've never been to a fireside, the terms that they call a specific fireside. You're called a tavern, and anyone running it is like a tavern keeper. Now, or an innkeeper, sorry. And what's been really interesting is the nearby player feature that's currently in the game. It's kind of awful and constantly breaks, and you can bend over backwards, swapping Wi-Fi networks and everything, and half the time it still doesn't show you like more than 50% of the actual players at your damn fireside. So
you have to sometimes turn off the whole, I shut down the whole game and reopen it, and then it might work, and then the other guy does it, and then it might work. It's just it's been kind of a nightmare.
It's
but
super busted.
Hopefully this is fixing all of that.
Yeah, especially when you get like over 10 people. And it just is like, I don't know what to do. So
what Fireside Gathering do you go to where there's less than 10 people? Like when people put these together, it's generally they put some stuff behind it and they get a fairly large crowd. So kind of a problem at almost everyone I've been to. But
yeah. Hey man,
this will be good.
I've been to Firesides with less than 10 people. We call that the Ride or Die Tavern Brawl. We're also getting a new, an update to the Fireside website, which has like new tavern functionality where you can name your tavern. You can basically create a page for your tavern on the Hearthstone website. You can create your own banner, and that banner is actually going to show up in game thanks to this new GPS feature, which I think is super cool. And then probably, I think one of the coolest things is Fireside Brawls. So you're going to go into Tavern Brawl. There's going to be a new little extra button you can click on for Fireside Brawls. And this was Pat Nagel. If you didn't watch, it was a Designer Insights video with Pat Nagel, and he said that this might be past brawls that just lend themselves to a fireside, setting, and they're also going to make fireside specific brawls that they said take playing in person into account. I have no idea what that means. If it's going to be some lame rule like before every turn, high five the person across from you or something like that. But I hope they do something pretty cool with that.
How are they going to ever track that though?
It's fine. Use the microphone on board. There's a microphone on like every, which means you could just sit there and clap. But what's stupider, clapping by yourself or high fiving someone? I mean, come on. It's going to become like man. WarioWare. We're going to be blowing into our microphones, and it's going to be wonderful. So I'm stoked about this. If you go to Firesides, if you run Firesides, or if you're even like just mildly interested in Firesides, I highly recommend you go and watch this Designer Insight. This is something I didn't see coming. I didn't think this was going to be happening. I didn't know they cared this much. It means a lot to see this kind of support for the Fireside community, so I'm excited about this. Now,
yeah, this is great. I mean, hopefully we're creeping closer and closer to something where tournaments can be run through the client.
Yes, that's
little by little. But here I mean, this is like another lobby, right? I mean, this is like the first time we're kind of seeing a separate lobby outside of just your friends list. That's a step in the right direction. I just want to point that out. Not going to get my hopes up, but these are baby steps, little by little.
Yep.
Towards something very useful.
Yep.
I hope.
100%. Now, before we get into card talk, let's thank our sponsors, HelloFresh.com. That is the meal kit delivery service that makes cooking fun, easy, and convenient. If you haven't tried them out, we highly recommend that you do. And if you would like to try them out, go to HelloFresh.com and use the code TAC30 when you subscribe for $30 off your first week of deliveries. We here have used HelloFresh. I am a big fan of it. I have mentioned in past episodes that I am not the most responsible adult.
Adulting's really hard, Garrett.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
It is
Let's be honest.
excruciatingly.
We all want someone to just send us stuff to adult for us, right?
Yeah.
Like, send me a box
It's
of
like
food I
mum
can
in a
make.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone
So I don't
break
have to
out.
figure it out.
Yeah, everyone break out. You know, your world's tiniest violence, because it's I feel it's even harder when a part of your living is made by talking about video games, because it just makes you want to be more of a freaking child, even though you're now 30. And one of those things is not thinking about what the heck I'm going to cook. So when HelloFresh shows up at my doorstep with like 3 meals for the week and really nicely graphic designed pieces of paper that take me step by step through every single thing I need to do, not to mention they include every single tiny like ingredient you could ever possibly need for the
Like, if
meal.
it needs a little salt and pepper, you get like a little salt and pepper thing.
They
Yeah.
don't even expect you to have salt
they
and pepper.
expect that you do not own salt and pepper.
Yeah. It's like
I like this low expectations for my ability to cook.
Please don't think that I have all this extra stuff like every other recipe ever.
Yeah. It's not like Hearthstone. You know, I don't have to discover my ingredients; they're just there. They're always there. It's pre-made. It's wonderful. Love me some HelloFresh. So go try it out for yourself. HelloFresh.com. $30 off of your first week of deliveries with the code TAC30. Go check them out. Now it is time for that stupid bumper, because it's time for Card Talk. Welcome to Card Talk.
Oh my gosh!
All right, so Un'Goro's coming out Thursday. Not sure what time. And every single card has now been revealed. So what we're doing is we're mostly going to focus on cards we haven't already talked about. But for my own sanity for preparing this episode, if you're watching video-wise, I'm just screen grabbing off of Hearthstone.com. So there it is. I'm giving credit to Hearthstone. You probably know who they are by now. But which means we're just going to be going alphabetically, and it looks like in descending order of rarity. Starting with Druid, and starting with their legendary, because we haven't talked about their legendary minion yet, Tyrantus, which is a 10-mana 12/12 beast that can't be targeted by spells or hero powers.
That's pretty significant, but not sure if this is good or not yet. I mean, obviously, if you can play it, if you have the time to play it, it's going to be a difficult thing to deal with. But it's a 10-man. It takes your entire turn, right?
Yeah.
And it
Unless-
doesn't affect the current board. So, and there's poisonous things out there, a lot more of them than there was. So, yeah, we shall see. But it's another great card to get pulled out with like Yasharaj, if you're doing that kind of, and like crazy ramp druid. This is going to be perfect for that. So.
Yeah.
Not to mention if you get the quest done, because then you get Barnabas, and then he's just
then it
a
costs 0?
free 12/12, and you just
Sure.
Yeah,
Win.
exactly. I think, let's go ahead and talk in conjunction with the quest. So we haven't talked about the Druid quest either, which, like every other quest, is a 1-mana legendary spell. It's called Jungle Giants, and the quest is summon 5 minions with 5 or more attack. The reward is Barnabas. And Barnabas, if I'm going to head over to the token section, that can be seen right here, is a 8/8 beast for 5 mana with a battle cry, which reads, reduce the cost of your minions in your hand to 0. Oh, sorry, in your deck, not in
deck.
your hand.
Yeah,
In your deck.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually a really
yeah,
important distinction
Yeah.
because you can't just
Super-
play that and then immediately empty your hand.
Yes,
That's
that's
not
the
like Aviana.
that's the downside, right? Because like if you're not thinking, or if a slightly hazy host is reading it wrong, you think, oh my god, what a cool combo! Play Barnabas and at the same time just unload every big thing in my hand. You can't do that. You have to. The only way you're going to be dropping 0-mana minions the same turn you play Barnabas is if you somehow draw in 2 minions out of your deck in the same turn.
But now you can. Barnabas itself costs 5 mana, right?
Correct.
So you can
Yes.
play Barnabas and then like nourish,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
any minions you draw will be free.
Be free.
So,
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So knowing that, a minion like Tarantus excites me more. If I'm playing for that quest, I'm going to want big threats. Now, you don't want to bet your money on Tyrantus because if you draw him before you play Barnabas, he's just going to cost you 10. Because he's going to be in your
Yeah.
hand, and he's not going to get the effect of Barnabas's battle cry.
And I will say this too. I mentioned the poisonous thing. There's now a card that's a one mana or 2 mana, 2-mana 1/2 with taunt poisonous. Or like you could slam this and then they'd be like, "What up?" and then you can't get through it, right? So like there's definitely going to be some counterplay to this because if you look at this card, originally you think, "How am I ever going to kill a 10-mana 12 or a 12/12 that I can't ever target with a spell?" Right? I think in Ungoro's world, these giant minions are going to be slightly less of an issue. I think there's going to be a lot more ways to answer them. So at least that's what I'm feeling like. Again, all of this is wait and see. But it feels like there's so many of these big minions. They're all going to be kind of clashing back and forth. It really is going to be more of a like War of the Titans, unless aggro just gets rid of all of that, and then we're just playing pirates again. But like the way it feels so far is that they can print these bigger cards because there are going to be more answers that aren't just a spell, right? So
Well, and anything with adapt or anything that adapts your minions then
Can
can
become
become
poisonous.
poisonous, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there are a lot of counters to these bigger minions now.
now the Jungle Giants quest summon 5 minions. By the way, we should definitely
Yes.
say that it's not play summon. With 5 or more attack is actually not that difficult to accomplish. I don't think, especially looking at some of the other cards that we're getting.
No, and
So I mean, like Giant Anaconda, the next card, we just go right into that. Like, look at that thing.
yeah.
Right.
That being said, Giant Anaconda is probably the card that excites me the least. Talking about this quest because it's like a death rattle. It's pretty easy to play around, and if they do play around it, I summoned a 5/3 for 7. It feels terrible.
But well, how do they play around it? They like don't kill it, and then you just smash their face for 5. Like,
They're- Shamans
unless
are
they
gonna-
silence it.
Shamans are still going to
it's
be around
coming.
with Hex, dude. Shamans are totally still going to be around with Hex.
No, that's true. That's true. But there was Void Caller was a very good and popular card when its time was here. So we know this effect works, and the fact that this is always going to pull out a significant threat, because like Void Caller's weakness was you would play Void Caller, which is a 3/4 for 4 that would summon a demon from your hand. Sometimes you'd end up with like a Void Walker or Flame Imp or something kind of weak where it wasn't really making up for the weaker body of the Void Caller itself, right? But sometimes you'd get Mal'Ganis and you'd get, Doom Guards and stuff.
Yeah, it's
this
just
is kind of like always getting a Doom Guard level minion.
It's not.
And
It's
sometimes
it's not
gets
the
you a Tarantus, right? Like sometimes your Giant Anaconda dies, a Tarantus comes out. Like the fact that you're getting a significant threat every single time out of this, I think, makes it a better card than I think a lot of people are looking at it thinking. I think you definitely play this in at least a Jungle Giants deck.
My issue is not the effect. I'm not arguing the effect at all. If it was 4 mana like Void Caller, I'd love this card. It's just the mana cost. 7
It
mana
is expensive,
is
for sure.
steep.
But at least it's expensive in Druid. Like the amount of ways that they have to get mana is
Like, let's be honest, you have
ridiculous.
7 mana when the other guy has 4, right?
Yeah.
So like it's fine to spend your mana on this guy. And also you can innervate it out on 5. It depends on how fast or slow the meta is if this card will actually do anything. But again, like Jungle Giants is just asking you to summon 5 minions. This is like play 1 card, summon 2.
And 2 towards your quest. Yeah.
Exactly. Moving towards your quest in a little bit faster way. So a lot of people will talk about cards being too slow, and all of that only depends on how slow or fast the meta actually is and your ability to like protect your face in that situation. So
Yeah.
I think this card is definitely going to be a little bit of a sleeper. I think we're going to see this.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm so much more excited about a lot of other cards that play towards the quest in Druid. This one's pretty low on my radar, but I'm happy to eat my words because I love the
not
art.
To mention,
and
if you make this cost 0, it's real good.
yeah, that's actually, you know what? That is a good point, and that's an important thing to talk about with the quest, right? Is because of the fact that the quest, and the quest reward of Barnabas only discounts things in your deck, you can't. I feel like you can't safely plan around a specific combo with specific minions going to 0. So you kind of have to make a deck where whatever minions are still in your deck, it's pretty awesome if they cost 0.
Sure.
So that's,
and the like people might be going, well, why don't you just play this and the 0 and the other 0 cost guy you have in your hand? Well, that guy might not be 0 because he wasn't in your deck previously. So that's
very good
one reason. But also, if you play this and then hold something back, that's also a big threat. It's like play around AoE, right? It's like play around removal. They have to remove something twice. So there will be situations where that happens. Again, like I think you could absolutely be right. This card could be total garbage. Meta could be too fast for it. But its effect is, I think, more powerful than a lot of people. Like a lot of people are just dismissing this card. I've seen so many reviews where like, bad, moving on. I'm like, I think there's something here, man. Void Caller was very good.
okay. We talked about Shell Shifter last week, right?
We talked about Living Mana. I don't think we talked about Shell Shifter, no.
I thought we did, but it was before we knew what the quest was. So I think
that's a good point.
gets better knowing that you have to summon minions with 5 attack, right? Because one of his forms is a 5/3 with stealth.
That's a very good point. Yeah. And I like that, and because of its transform, it gives you the option, right? Like you're not doubling down so hard on 5 attack minions. Like that way, Shell Shifter is cool if you end up in against an aggro deck. It's like, I really want that 5 for my quest, but I really need the 3/5 with taunt to just stabilize.
I need to live, yeah.
Not to mention, it's a beast. Whatever comes out here is a beast. All of the transformations that this has, and there is a 5/5 version as well. So if you get both of the effects at the same time, there's a 5/5. So they're all beasts. So if you are trying to get some sort of beast synergy going, which will be, I think, a thing in Wild, finally, just because there's so many new beasts, like neutral beasts as well, that you'll be able to kind of guarantee those activators. So that's an important thing to note as well. But yeah, like you get the choose one effect of this card is very strong. A 5/3 with stealth is gonna hit something, right? And a 3/5 is just like, well, I need a taunt. So it's very similar to Druid of the Claw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can decide whether I'm on offense or on defense and adjust accordingly.
Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about Earthen Scales yet either. It's a 1-mana spell that reads, give a friendly minion +1/+1, then gain armor equal to its attack.
Yeah.
It's versatile, but is it worth 1 or 2 of your 30 slots? I don't think so.
I think that's the issue, not the mana cost and the actual card itself. I think the card itself is okay, and I think it'll see play in like Arena. Because in Arena, it'll go up against some really bad cards sometimes. It's like, you can kind of think of it as a 1-mana heal, more than like the +1/+1 effect.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's still worth considering the +1/+1 effect, because early game this still has some value, because you might really need to trade up against something, and this will give you that.
Or get a value trade you weren't supposed to get, right? Like you both are kind of going even with bodies, and then now I kill your guy and my guy's alive, right?
Yeah, exactly. But late game, it's a big heal, probably.
Late game, it's a big heal, and sometimes it might be a little reach. I don't know. It's a very interesting card because it seems to be maybe out of place in Druid. But also, you can use this with like Violet Teachers. It's a cheap spell with Violet Teachers if you start doing any sort of token stuff. So there's applications, and also it's another kind of anti-aggro tool existing in the world, which collectively, all of them together, kind of maybe equals the demise of these pirate super fast decks. Like, I don't think one of these cards does it on its own, but the fact that there's so many new defensive tools could come together, and this is just like one of those.
I think you're going to see us saying that a lot today, by the way, of, hey, this is really good against anti-aggro. Like, this card, not necessarily. I mean, it is good, but it's not, like, I don't think this is going into standard decks.
Yeah. But, like, look, we're losing, like, Reno, and we are gaining some other options to slow things down, gain life. That's important. So And the fact that it's armor, not health, huge deal. You can go over 30 with this, so I think this card will definitely be somewhere. I just don't know if it's like it's probably not like an auto include or anything like that. It's like a tech choice maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, because Feral Rage saw a lot of play, and mostly that was anti-aggro, right? And that's 8 every time, and 3 mana, right? So you can slot this into turns where you can't slot in Feral Rage. So its reduced mana cost might actually make it see play, because you're probably not going to want to play it till turn, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But you know, you can slot it into a lot of places when you're going to have, especially if you're doing the quest, you're going to have 5 attack minions on board at least, right? So
yeah. It's also a very cheap spell to go along with Auctioneers. We should point that out as well. So
Auctioneers, and maybe Yogg Druid will make a comeback.
Ooh.
Yes.
Probably not.
Someone in chat said Warrior won't play 1 mana gain 5 armor. Why would Druid want 1 mana gain 6+? Well, gaining more armor than 5 is obviously a big deal, but also the +1/+1 is better. This is a better spell than that Warrior spell that we'll get to later, but like in almost every way.
Yeah.
This is it actually does something to the board.
Yeah, and again, I think we're mostly talking about this from an arena perspective. I don't think this is going to see constructed play.
It's probably not good enough for a 30 slots in your constructed deck.
Right.
Probably not.
Right, exactly. So, talked about Verdant Longneck. Let's talk about Elder Longneck. This is a 3 mana 5/1 beast with a battle cry that reads, if you're holding a minion with 5 or more attack, adapt. And also there's hidden text here that says, Frodan, read the darn card. I don't know what that's referencing.
Yeah, that was frustrating. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Oh, give the man a break.
Man.
I get so annoyed at that. Like the Reddit threads afterwards. But for the love of God, people, he's in there. He's in the room with Ben Brody. They're palling around. They're having a good time. Like, you've never seen this card before. Give the man a break. That being said, I did want to get that in there.
But also, slow down and read the card.
Slow down and read the card. Exactly.
Say both things.
Exactly.
This is a very good card, I think, actually. I think in Arena you'll see this card. This kind of depends on if this quest is really good, because it is a cheap way to get out a 5 health or a 5 attack guy, right? Mm-hmm. And if you already... And it's also in that deck going to be very easy to activate this ability, which is adapting. And adapting, if you play a 3 mana 5/1 with Divine Shield, or a 3 mana 5/4, or a 3 mana, stealth 5/1.
Yeah.
These are all fine options. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You should get one of those most of the time.
Yeah. I think the +3 health and the Divine Shield are the 2 ones you really want, but in a pinch, stealth isn't bad either. It really depends, I think, on the class you're going up against.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, it's one of those cards, like, it sees play in that deck. Nobody else uses this card. And in Arena, you might pick this if you already have a fairly heavy deck, right? So you'll be, like, in Arena, you'll be counting how many 5 attack minions you have. And if you have a bunch, then, and the thing is, like, holding a 5 attack minion, not that difficult. It's going to happen, So I think we'll be seeing a lot of long necks around.
Yeah.
This one, I think, is better than the Verdant long neck, just because the 3 mana against 5 is a very significant amount.
Yeah, it helps you. Again, it really plays towards that quest, because you're getting a tick on your quest early in the game, and that's when I saw the quest. My first thought was, "Oh man, you're going to be finishing that late." But then Elder Longneck comes around.
But think about what Druid does now, where they just pass turn 1 and then Wild go turn 2. At least now on turn 1 you'll be playing the quest, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of did something productive, and then turn 2 you started ramping. And then turn 3 is now turn 4, and now you're all of a sudden able to play larger minions like turn 3 turns in, right?
Yeah.
So you'll get the quest done by turn 8 or 9 at the earliest.
Still think about your realistic Hearthstone games though. Some of those turns you're going to be playing spells to trade, and so it's unlikely I think you're going to be playing a 5 attack minion 5 turns in a row.
Not
realistic
not
Hearthstone
each
game
time for sure. But as you ramp up in mana, you'll be you won't have things like Druid of the Claw. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to be in there, because that's never going to be over 5 attack. But you still will have Ancients of War and all these kind of cards. So some of your minions, some of your drop minions are going to be just defensive. Like boom, this stops you in your tracks, and I'm good to go. So
yeah,
I think they'll get it done fairly often by turn 8 or 9. But that does mean you are going to have to get a game to go until turn 8 or 9. That's and in the current world of Hearthstone, that can be tough.
Well, Dills, I have a question for you now. Will you still be wild growthing on turn 2, or will you be playing Tortollan Forager? He's just so happy. Look at that little guy.
Even though he's about to get his face eaten by whatever's in that egg.
If I have this in Wild Growth, I'm gonna Wild Growth.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, so Tertullian Forager, 2 mana, 2/2 with a battle cry that adds a random minion with 5 or more attack to your hand. So again, playing towards that quest. Who knows if you're actually playing this on 2 though?
No, yeah.
Probably
well, you will
no.
if you don't have Wild Growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this card definitely goes in, and it's a great option for that deck that didn't have anything to do on turn 2 outside of Hero Power, Wrath, something like that. Now you actually can drop a body and still be kind of working towards your quest. This card is really cool. It's gonna be great in Arena. Fantastic card in Arena. Just any of these like little 2 mana 2/2s that give you more resources are insane. So. And you're going to be adding a significant threat. Like the worst thing you could get is going to be like Magma Rager, right? That'll be like the worst. That's like bottom of the spectrum. And then sometimes you're going to get something friggin' insane, right? Sometimes you're going to get like Deathwing, and you're going to be like, word. All right. So yeah, very good card, and kind of something that Ramp Druid needed is something to do when they didn't have anything to do. So yeah, it smooths things out quite a bit. But like what I'll do is I'll Wild Growth turn 2. And then turn 3, I have 4 mana. I can play this and Hero Power, or this and Wrath, or something like that.
All good points.
That'll be fine.
All right, cool. Let's move on and talk about the Hunter cards we haven't discussed already. So we've already talked about the legendaries. I want to reiterate
about the quest.
I
Right?
want to reiterate the quest. We already talked about the quest, but I want to reiterate it. Just keep it in mind as we talk about some of these minions. It is to play 7 1-cost minions. That's how you get your Queen Carnassa. And just to remind, actually, myself, because I already
shuffles
forgot.
15 1-drop Raptors that are 3/2s that draw cards.
Yeah, yep,
Yes.
yep.
To your deck.
It's gross, and I want to complete this quest. Cool. You got that in your head? Sweet. Let's move on. Dinomancy is the first new Hunter card we're going to talk about. This is an epic
I'm
Hunter
so
spell.
excited.
Dude, I am too.
That's awesome.
I'm so stoked. Okay, so Dinomancy is a 2 mana epic Hunter spell. It reads your hero power becomes give a beast +2.
Give Peace a chance?
Give Peace a chance. Yeah, give Peace a chance. Give a beast +2/+2. This is, oh my god, this is so cool, guys. I am in love with this. So hey, Grand Tournament did not pan out, right? Like it really didn't pan out, but it had an overarching theme of manipulating hero powers, and I still love that theme. I love that idea. It is so cool, and I'm really happy that they're revisiting hero power manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. The other thing I wanted to mention about this card specifically is it's give a beast +2/+2. It's not give a random beast +2/+2. It's totally targeted. So I feel like that makes it just that one step greater than it already was. Like I'm so excited to just go like full on, especially with Stampede, which I don't think we've talked about yet, which is another it's 1 mana. Yeah. And just
this
like
is huge.
So many beasts. It's gonna be so good.
It actually allows you to build a mid-range or control type of Hunter deck because suddenly your hero power affects the board, which was always the problem. Like shooting people in the face is great and all, but if you're trying to ever build a Hunter deck that is not built around killing somebody really fast, you always had a little bit of a problem where you're like, well, this is all fine and good, but my class doesn't have a lot of draw. I don't have a hero power that affects the board, and I do have some decent removal options. But again, without draw, like I use them all up and I'm dry and I'm out of stuff, and my opponent still has like a full grip of cards, and I'm just shooting them in the face. So now finally you can build like a control mid-range style Hunter deck with lots of beasts, and at some point flip your hero power to do something to the board, active to the board. Do we know now what happens if you play this a second time?
I don't.
Was that ever
think so.
demonstrated?
Oh,
No.
I feel like that
Because you know, like
But
Shadow Form goes up
Yeah.
to 3. Does this go up to 3/3?
I feel like this
I
was
don't think it
addressed.
does.
and-
I don't
nothing-
think so. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think so.
All right.
Which in that case, like, do you?
Which is weird
probably
though,
just
because
play
you
a one
do you
up?
play 2 of these because you want
Yeah.
to make sure you get to it, or do you not? So yeah, I don't know. I got some questions about that, but
oh, that's what it was.
refreshes it. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can do it twice in a turn. That
Yeah.
works. That's still something.
Yeah, it's not
But
totally
that's
dead.
this card. The fact that it's targeted as well means you can do it on a minion that's about to attack, get like a nice trade. You can do it on like a minion that's got 1 health. Like let's say you're ending your turn, you play a few minions, you give something with 1 health the extra +2, and now it can't get pinged off. that kind of stuff. So
Like
there's very
the
cool
angry
applications
chicken.
to this card. Angry chicken. Everyone's
Yes.
talking about the angry chicken, obviously. Yeah,
We have to mention it. I mean, come on.
of course.
It's required. It is required. No,
Angry chicken finally viable.
I love this card. Yeah, I mean, Hunter's hero power was really the main reason, like a control hunter never worked, and this is giving hunters that option. I'm ecstatic about this
And
card.
you know, you probably do play this in like your Marsh Queen style deck, right? Because you're gonna be like spamming the board with 1-drops.
yeah,
They're all
And
peace.
at a certain point, you'll have this 2 extra mana. Might as well use it on making your hero power more viable for what you're doing, right?
Exactly. Because like it's 2 mana, so you're like I think my initial reaction was, well, when the hell am I going to fit this in? But it's you don't want to play it early. Look at the cards hunters are getting. Your early game's fine. You've got it covered. You don't need this early game.
Turn 1, a 1-drop. Turn 2, 2 1-drops. Turn 3, do this and another 1-drop. Turn 4, buff all my dudes. you
Yep.
know? Yeah.
Somewhere in there, play Stampede to get a bunch of random beasts added to my hand. Oh, by the way, did I mention Stampede? That's the next card. It's a 1-mana epic hunter spell that reads each time you play a beast this turn, add a random beast to your hand. Goodbye, lock and load.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's lock and load except for beast, which is amazing.
It's lock and load, except
Which is
it, like,
better though
you
too,
actually
because
want
the
to play
spells
it.
that you played were all kind of reactionary spells. But just dropping a cheap minion, which is already kind of what you're doing because of the quest, dropping a cheap minion is like a proactive thing that you just want to do anyway. So when you're doing that and putting action back into your hand, that's totally fine. But when you were playing lock and load, you're like, I guess I'll just play explosive trap, even though there's no reason to right now. I guess I'll play a freezing trap. I guess I'll shoot him in the face with an arcane shot because I just want to keep cycling. Like there was situations where it just didn't make sense to do the lock and load at all. This is not going to run into that problem, right?
No. What does this card ask of me? Play hunter. That's what this card asks of me.
And the thing is too, the fact that you're going to be playing this card is going to be amazing after you play Marsh Queen, right? Or after you play Carnasa. Suddenly you have a handful of these little 1-drops that cycle already, and you're just going to go off. You're Stampede this. By the way, though, I do want to mention this is a terrible arena card. So anybody who's really excited about this in arena, get that out of your mind. You have to have a deck kind of built for this.
Right.
Maybe there'll be a time when you'll be drafting and you'll be like, oh my God, I have all these cheap beasts. Okay.
Right. It's
But
a
that's not
safe
gonna
pick
happen
at
often
the
enough.
end of your draft when this comes up and it's like pick 28 and you're like, oh, holy crap, I have like 8 beasts. Okay.
Yeah.
But not a turn 5 pick. It's not going to happen.
No, but this is a super cool card, and it is again like it's a way to just feel okay about dumping that handful of 1-drops, right? So continue to refill them. It's great. It's awesome.
Yep. Already talked about Tolvir Warden, Terrascale Stalker, and Raptor Hatchling, so I guess we're on to Crackling Razormaw, who is doing a hell of a dance. This is such a funny looking dinosaur. I love this guy. It's a 2-mana 3/2 beast for hunters with a battle cry that reads adapt a friendly beast. Okay, cool. Sign me up.
Sure.
I guess I'm adapting my Raptor Hatchling.
Yeah.
Or my Jeweled Macaw, which we'll talk about in a minute.
You're adapting whatever. Like you will have lots of these 1-drops out there. So
Yep.
Also, I think this is a really good arena card because you will be drafting quite a bit of beasts. It doesn't require you to have a beast in hand or anything like that.
Yep.
Just a beast has to be on the board, which will happen pretty often. So, and also it's just a 2-mana 3/2. So even if you don't have that option, just going to be a great card to just play on turn 2.
Yep. And it's not going to be terrible if you find it later. Like some of your larger, minions, good God, some of the adapt effects, like stealthing a big scary minion so it lives a turn. Girl, sign me up. Grievous Bite is a new hunter spell we need to talk about. It's a 2-mana common that deals 2 damage to a minion and 1 damage to adjacent ones. So it's like mini explosive shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those techie kind of cards. If you're seeing a lot of aggro, a lot of pirates, a lot of crap, then maybe you put a 1 or 2 of these in because it's early game removal, and I think that's something that's going to allow you to then get to your super cool mid and late game.
Yeah, but it doesn't inspire rage in me like the pirate eating crab, which is a piece of crap and lazy design. This is fine. Like I can put this in, hoping to go up against aggro decks, but at least if I don't go up against one specific aggro deck, it's not completely trash.
It's also going to require all your opponents from here on out to start thinking about placement against hunters, because explosive shot was never used.
Power shot.
So, or no, explosive shot. I'm talking about the one that does 5 and then 2 on each side.
Oh.
Which is the reason it was never a card that ever saw play, right? So nobody ever cared about placing the 5-drop, like whatever, not in the middle and constructed.
Didn't we just talk about this for, was it Arena maybe?
We were playing
Arena.
Arena.
You do. Think
Okay,
about
yeah,
it,
that's
because,
okay. Because I was like,
it's a
there's
good
some
card in
reason
Arena,
this
but in
card, yeah,
Constructed,
there's
you
some
never
reason
ever
this
did.
card came up recently.
But this
But
will
yeah.
be one of those things where suddenly, you're going to want to be putting your bigger dudes on the outside against Hunter in the early games. I think it is actually going to be a card that sees play. Also, this is amazing if you get a little spell power. So maybe we'll see Blood Mage Stalnos go into some Hunter decks or something like that. It's a good card, man. It's a really good card. It's like take Arcane Shot, put 1 more mana on it, and then deal 2 more damage. So it's like do that. Like Arcane Shot never really saw play because it just didn't do quite enough to take up the slot. This could sometimes kill 3 minions against an aggro deck, and that's amazing. So I love this card. It's gonna be great in Arena, by the way. Super good in Arena, and probably actually finally playable and constructed. Where Power Shot even wasn't. Even though that was like a really good card, it still wasn't. Right. So
it's gonna be pretty awesome in mirror matches too, because people are gonna be dropping their hatchlings and their crackling razor maws, and you're gonna be like, cool, I've got a Grievous Bite in hand.
Yeah. Now again, I could be totally wrong. This card might again be crap, where you just want to be playing proactive and never defensive. But it's another one of those tools fighting against the pirates, right? So it's like they put in so many of these, like every class kind of seems to have one, that collectively it might do the trick. We shall see.
Yep. Let's talk about the final Hunter card we haven't discussed, Jeweled Macaw. This is a 1-mana 1/1 beast with a battle cry that adds a random beast to your hand.
Babbling Macaw.
Babbling Macaw, it's kind of like Scarab-esque in its way, even though you're not discovering. Like, I like this card a lot.
It's a 1-drop. So in my March Queen deck, yep, this goes in for sure.
Probably not playing it on 1 because you're going to get that quest out, but still, good card.
Yeah, but it's like, it's like, this is why Babbling Book is so good. It's like a free card, right? Like, just give me something to do on turn 1. I play it. I get a new card. I got something for down the road, and I did something proactive on turn 1. This card will definitely be in those decks. Absolutely.
All right, cool. Moving on. No other. Joel McCall, good card. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, we already know what Babbling Book does, and so this card,
yeah. If you're Pavel this is going to be his new MVP. It's going to somehow win him the game. I don't know how, but it's gonna. Mage. We've already talked about Pyros. Actually, it was one of the very first cards we talked about. So let's talk about the quest for mages, because we haven't seen it yet. It is called Open the Way Gate. Like every quest, it is a 1-mana legendary spell, and it reads, cast 6 spells that didn't start in your deck, the reward of which is Time Warp. Let's find Time Warp on the token page. There it is. It is a 5-mana legendary mage spell that reads, take an extra turn. And I'm going to get in here before Dills and say this is exactly a Magic card. This actually exists in Magic.
There's literally a Magic card.
Same name, same effect.
It's called Time Warp too, isn't it?
Yes, it's called Time Warp, and it does exactly the same thing. So I thank you for this, Team 5. This means anytime we get the Magic haters email, I can just be like, Time Warp, shut up.
Yep. Even Hearthstone knows about Magic.
Oh, man.
So there's obvious things you look at with this, and you think, well, OTK, here we come, because you can, like, you literally, like, you click in turn, and then a new turn starts, but it's yours again.
Mm-hmm.
So the obvious thing here is to drop 2 Arcane Giants, and then play Time Warp, end turn, then play Alex Straza the next turn, get your opponent down to 15, and then attack him with 2 Giants. Right, and he's dead. So there's OTKs in there. That being said, you got to play a bunch of weird spells to get there. So yeah.
I have a question about this because when you start your next turn, because when they showed it on stream, I think it was a disguised toast video at the end of the stream. That it was a turn 10 into turn 10. So if I cast it on like turn 6, do I get the extra mana crystal?
I believe it would start a fresh
you
turn.
Ahead
So you would
to the next turn. Okay.
It'd be pretty rare though to cast 6 spells by like
Yeah,
turn
no, I
7.
know, I know, I
Because
know.
not
I was
only do you have to
I was just
acquire the
curious about
spells
that,
that are
yeah.
in the deck, you then have
But
to
then you have to
cast
play them, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is gonna take a long time to actually get done. But so I think the issue is that, like, obviously, like, that's very good when you pull it off, right? When you actually do it, that's insane. But it's asking quite a bit of you to get to that point, because you're gonna have to play cards, you know, like Kabbalist Tome. You're gonna have to play cards like Babbling Book. You're gonna have to play all these cards that generate spells that weren't in your deck. Then you're going to have to cast those spells.
Yeah.
So it is going to take a long time, and you're going to have to be defensive enough to not be dead by that point, right? So you're going to have to also include things like, a lot of people are kind of theory crafting that's kind of like a freeze mage type of thing, but instead of bursting people down, you know, with the now gone and wild ice lances and all that kind of stuff, rather than bursting them down, you get to this kind of OTK combo like I talked about. And that's going to be tough, because you're going to you not only have to put in all that freeze and stall, you have to put in the spell generator.
The generation too, yeah. Although something like coins would count, right? Because the coin's not in your deck. So if you go
play Burgly Bully, get some coins. Yeah, just has to not have been in your deck at the start of the game, and that's, you know. So yeah, it's, even though like Burgly Bully, your opponent's going to be like, okay, I saw you played the quest. I'm not going to just play spells and give you free coins here. There's going to be some play around. So I think it's more balanced than people think it is, because I've heard a lot of people like, this is broken. And in Magic, the time walk, I believe it's not time warp, but there's another one, time walk. I believe that's like considered it's like banned or something. I'm not 100% on this, but one of those cards is like banned because it's just too damn good. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's that good here. I think it is very good though once it happens.
On the same token, though, like, we've already been doing this as a mage. Like, mages as they currently exist, we're losing Flamewaker, which is the big asterisk, I think. I think the biggest asterisk here is you're losing a Flamewaker, so you're losing a lot of value.
You're losing Reno, too. So,
yes.
Like, a Reno mage would to me be like the deck that could get away with this, right?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, old school casino mage. Like, a lot of random effects and that type of stuff. Like, open the Waygate with a casino mage in Wild after this comes out, I think is going to be very possible. We've already been playing Kabbalist Tome. We've been playing mage that already creates spells that didn't start in its deck and utilizes them. The real challenge is just getting 6 of those out, right?
Yeah. I don't think that in Standard this is going to be some deck that takes over. Like, I think a lot of people are kind of concerned. Absolutely, in Wild, I think there's a lot more possibilities here. So, and that's kind of cool. If there's quests that are just kind of more tailored for what Wild can allow you to do, I'm totally fine with that, because that's a super fun thing. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But in Standard, yeah, you're gonna struggle, man. There's not that many cards anymore. Like, what's the one, the 3/4 that gives both players a random spell? Like, that's gone, right?
Spellslinger?
Spellslinger, yeah, that's gone. Nexus Champion Sarad, that's gone. That would be a great way to get a bunch of random spells. Burgly Bully, sure, that's great. Kabbalist Tome, that's great. Babbling Book, that's great. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it.
We're getting 2 cards in this set that do that, and Kabbalist Tome is
you've got some cards in this set. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Primordial Glyph is a pretty big one. So
right.
But again, like, that's still like, that's a lot less tools than you have in Wild. So Wild is going to be a lot simpler.
I agree, but I think if we find an OTK that is worth it, it will be worth bending over backwards to accomplish this.
Yeah, and a 3-card OTK is pretty good considering what sometimes you've had to do to get an OTK, right? Like, there's been some OTKs out there that are
there's
awesome.
this. I'm gonna harp on this again when we get to Warrior, which is so far seems like miles away at this point. We're already an hour in, and we're barely past Mage. But I think the thing that excites me the most about Ungoro as a whole is they're filling in all of these gaps in just about every class. Like we talked about Hunter. Like, what have I always wanted to do as Hunter? Control Hunter. There's been something missing there. Okay, they gave us Dinomancing. But a lot of these, it's there's this focus on let's give Control some new tools, and in those tools for Control, let's give them ways to end the game. So they're focusing on Control again, but they've moved completely away from Reno. It's Control. All right, it's over now. Let's end this game. And I think that's what Open the Waygate is as well. Warrior has tools like this, and we're going to get to that. And Open the Way Gate, I look at this as the same way for Mage. Like we're gonna come up with a control Mage that has an ending combo, and that's where Open the Way Gate is going to live.
No, that makes absolutely. I agree. The other thing too is I believe it doesn't have to be like a card. Like it could be a card that's already existed in your deck as long as it's one that didn't start in your deck, right? So like
so if
even
you
a card
play
like
Ice
Steam
Block, you can
Surger
get Ice
could
Block.
be Steam Surger could be like a way to do this as well, because you could do like some elemental stuff on top of this, have maybe some stall effects there, but you add a Flame Geyser into your hand, right? So like all of these kind of things are ways to do it. So there is
It's
definitely
spells
some
though.
possibilities.
It's not cards. It's spells. So minions wouldn't count.
But Flame Geyser is a spell. Flame Geyser is the deal 2 damage.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking he was the little flamey dude.
No. He creates one. Yes.
Right.
But it's just like any way.
Oh, you're right.
Any
Sorry.
way
So
to create stuff. So Archmage Antonius Fireballs would count towards this as well. You do still have Sorcerer's Apprentices and things like that to make spells cheaper. So you could end up doing like some sort of big spell turn where you play a whole bunch of them all at once.
Yeah, and actually,
there's definitely stuff in here.
I didn't even think of Steam Surger, so that's 3, and then Mana Bind actually makes 4 because you're getting copies of your opponent's spells. So
the question is Mana Bind good enough? And the thing is, Mana Bind would be something you'd play in this deck.
Yes.
If that's what you're trying to do.
Right.
But you'd be forgoing like counterspell for Mana Bind.
All right, cool. So obviously lots of thoughts on this, and much like everything, giant asterisks of we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely a we'll see, man. But
for now,
the effect itself is insanely powerful.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, but for now, we'll move on to Meteor, a new Epic Mage spell. It costs 6 mana, and it deals 15 damage to a minion and 3 damage to the adjacent ones. This is cool, man. I also like that a lot of the targeted damage in the set, by the way, is minion specific. It is not burn to face.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way you could print that. This is weird, though, right? Because we had
Seems
previously
excessive.
a 5 mana deal 8 Flame Lance.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you know what?
F
For
it.
1 more mana, you can deal 15 and 3 more to the adjacent minions. What?
You can't do it
a
to
lot, man.
Listen, you can't do this to Tyrantus, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but I think this is just like one of those things. Like mages are supposed to be the ultimate like removal guys, and here's the ultimate removal out there. It just is. That's a huge amount. It's gonna kill anything.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about on the stream. Might as well say 100. Might as well say 1,000. Like deal enough damage to kill it.
Yep.
And then 3 to the adjacent minions.
Yeah. Yeah. Kill.
Unless you like adapt something to the point that it has 20 health or something.
That's gonna be real hard to do.
But you have to get real lucky. You have to get real freaking lucky.
I think Paladins could do it.
Or Jocelyn, it just has a divine shield on it, and you have to do 2 meteors. So
Now, Flame Lance was played, by the way, in like Reno Mages. So in Wild, like that will no longer be there, and probably Meteor will be there instead. I don't. This card's nuts, man.
yeah, and honestly, to me, I look at this, I'm like, this seems like kind of overkill. Like, do I really need this? But probably the answer is yes. There's some big minions in this set.
There are some big minions, yeah. This is what I was saying. Like the big minions are less crazy than they could have been because there are lots of tools now to kind of deal with them, and this is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you played a giant dude. Well, for 6 mana, I killed it. Now I developed some stuff too. So
Yep, and I may have.
Oh,
Yeah.
chat room is talking about the one big minion that can't die to this, though.
All
the
right.
ancient one.
That's correct.
Get out
yeah,
your
because that was
blood decks.
all over the place.
Listen, if you get the ancient one out, you deserve to not have a meteor kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and if you don't get it out, you deserve to lose that game because you're trying to summon the ancient one.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about this card in Jades, and I was like, well, it'll kill the one giant Jade,
Yeah,
but the
but
ones
then-
next to it are still going to live.
Yeah.
Like, I killed your 15-15 Jade, your 14-14, and your 12-12. Those are still coming. But
Although, I mean,
Yeah,
it's cool that it's here because you're going to be discovering spells, and there's going to be times, even against Jade, where you're like, I just really need to deal with that one big Jade. And there you go. You can discover it. You know.
yeah. And also this, yeah, like, I'm not sure where this card goes. It looks like a very good card, but it goes in a control outlast you kind of mage deck, right? And we have to see how good that type of deck is now that there's no more Reno in standard. So it's again another like wait and see card. Like, looks amazing, but does this deck exist, or do we go back to some sort of a faster mage? Is that where it's at? We don't know yet.
We'll
Or an
find out.
elemental mage? Is that where it's at? We don't know.
Looking like it could be, that's for sure. More on that in a second. But first, we must talk about Primordial Glyph, another new epic mage spell. It's going to cost you 2 mana, and it reads, discover a spell, reduce its cost by 2.
This card is freaking broken, man.
It's so dope. I love this
This is
card.
so good. It pays for itself, and you get to pick the spell.
Yep.
What?
So then you open the Waygate, and then on 2 you do Primordial Glyph into Glyph into Glyph into Glyph into Glyph, and then you get your Time Warp.
That's gonna
on
happen
turn
all
2.
the time.
Yeah,
Yep.
that sounds really
There'll be a
consistent.
Trollden video where that does
Yeah.
happen. But more than likely, though, you just find a spell that you actually want for the current situation, and it costs 2 less, and it's like you just didn't even pay for the damn thing. So, we've had in the past Unstable Portal, which had kind of a similar effect, but was totally randomized, so sometimes it sucked. This card is so much better because you pick the spell that you actually need, and it costs 2 less. That's crazy. This is so good. This is insanely good. It's too good. This is too good.
All right. Awesome. I don't
It
think
should
it's
cost 3 and have it reduced by 2. I don't know. Pay
broken.
something for the damn spell. You discovered.
Broken as F, Willie Dills, 2017. Moving on. Steam Searcher. It's a new elemental minion for mages. You're going to pay 4 mana for it. Has 5 attack, 4 health, and a battle cry that reads, if you played an elemental last turn, played, not summoned, add a flame geyser to your hand. And yes, this is the flame geyser that we talked about, I believe, 2 weeks ago. The 2 mana, deal 2 damage, add a 1/2 elemental to your hand. And also, as we mentioned earlier, this is technically a spell that did not start in your deck. Even if you're playing Flame Geyser, this particular copy of it didn't start, so it does count towards Open the Waygate.
No, because the Flame Geyser itself is a minion, not a spell. Or the elemental.
I'm not talking about the elemental. I'm talking about.
You're talking about the Flame Geyser. Yeah,
I'm talking about the Flame Geyser. Adds it to your hand,
Sure,
and you
yes,
do.
that does. I
yeah.
thought you were talking about the elemental.
Yeah, you
yes.
do cast it. So there you go. No. I'm not talking about the elemental.
Yeah. So yeah, if you get this will count. But you'll have to play elementals, so you might not have room for all the other generate stuff. We'll see. But if you are playing elemental mage, you probably put this in just because it is an elemental itself. It's a 4 mana 5/4, which is a fine body.
Yeah.
And it kind of bridges the gap into the next elemental turn, while giving you a little bit of gas that also helps you bridge the gap to future elemental turns, right? So this is like a fair mech dude. What's the dude that shot the 4 missiles? That was a
Bomb
4 mana
Lobber?
5/4.
Oh,
No, not Bomb Lobber. 4 missiles.
oh, God, that's
you know what I'm
gonna
talking
bother
about,
me
though.
so much. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
but that
Chat
card
room
was
will
like
get us.
broken good. It's what made Mech Mage really good, right? This is like a fair version where it like if that card had like given you a spell that dealt 4 random like later, like a better arcane missiles, that would have been, I think, cooler. This is a really cool card because it's like you play a 4 mana 5/4 that turn, which isn't insane. You get a 2 mana deal 2 damage card later, which isn't that insane. But like you put all, and then that gives you a 1/2 for 1,
Goblin
which isn't
Blast
that
Mage.
insane. But Goblin Blast Mage. Thank you. But
Thank
you
you,
put
Chandler.
all those things together into one card. It's like there's a lot jam packed into one 4 mana card that gives you value over the next few turns. So very fair, but also like on the good side of fair, right? I like this card.
I like it too. And I don't know. I think I'm wondering if Shimmering Tempest to jump around is a bit of a trap, but looking at that, it's like, oh, it's an elemental and it adds a random mage spell to my hand. Maybe elemental mage into Open the Waygate is a thing, but it could be
Maybe.
trap thinking. Who knows?
I mean, again, it's like you're gonna have to toy with all the like elemental mage gets Pyros instead of the broken ass shaman card, right?
Yeah.
So, but Pyros might actually be better than we think, just because it's bridging the gap to all these elemental turns. So, again, it's like all about that. And it's all about how you curve and how this deck kind of gets put together. So until we see it in action, this card is not like guaranteed to be good or bad, but I really like its design. I like its like design where it's like I play this card and it just keeps leading me down a path to like more value as I go.
Yeah. No, I dig it. Well, let's just jump around. I already mentioned Shimmering Tempest, so let's say what it is. It's a 2 mana, 2/1 elemental mage minion with a death rattle that adds a random mage spell to your hand. So those
Terrible body, but you get a spell.
Yeah, it's not great, but it gets your elemental train rolling, right? Like,
And also helps you with your quest, so it seems to bridge the gap and makes it kind of look like you should try to do both elementals and quest in the same deck, but I don't know how
Yeah, I
there's
don't know if
room
this
for
card
that.
by itself is enough to
Yeah.
make that a viable archetype yet. But
I
again,
feel like it's
like,
just
yeah,
Mage is kind of weird. It's
yeah.
everything else has seemed to kind of flow together that we've talked about so far. Like all the Druid stuff, all the Hunter stuff really flowed, and this just seems weird.
So what you get, so if you think about like Babbling Book gives you the spell the turn it's played for one less mana, but for one less attack, and no elemental tag.
Mm-hmm.
So is an elemental tag and one attack worth the fact that it's now a death rattle instead of a battle cry? Like, I don't know. I look at this card and I'm like, eh. Like the rest of the deck has to be amazing for this to like be a card that just activates all the rest of that deck, right? So that's, I think, the real question mark here. Is the rest of this deck worth putting in a subpar, like having a really bad turn 2, essentially?
yeah.
And that may or may not be.
Yeah, that I think it's Open the Way Gate is one of the weirdest quests, and I think that's why you don't necessarily see a through line here. It's not as obvious.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be toying with this on like day 1, though. I'm
It's
going
to be
tinkering around and figuring out, does elemental work with this? Do I have to play this like freeze control style? What do I have to do to make this work? Because it is the coolest concept that we got going on.
without a doubt. I think it's going to be the most rewarding for actually accomplishing it, and it's just not the most obvious. Many of the quests are so on the nose, and this one just isn't. And I like it, honestly. I dig it. So, anyways, moving back around to the rares, Molten Reflection. This is a 4-mana mage spell that reads: choose a friendly minion, summon a copy of it.
Yeah, the friendly minion tag is the tough part here. This card would be so much better if you could just choose a minion and just copy it. But you have to get a minion out that's worth more than 4, and then you get to immediately summon it, which is very cool. I think this is a card that will more often see play because it's been given to you randomly than a card that just is put into your deck. You know, similar to like the freezing potion. Like that card saw play because sometimes it was just added to your deck.
Yeah, that's
or added to your hand. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because of Discover, because of things like Kabbalah's Tome and Babbling Book, and even Shimmering Tempest. These type of head scratcher spells become more interesting.
But you could put it into your the Open the Waygate OTK thing to give you like one more shot at an Arcane Giant, right? Because you can play like a free Arcane Giant and then use this to get the second one.
Yes.
And it would still fit if you're on turn 9 or 10, right?
So maybe it's like a 1-of just to give you one more shot at getting to the final combo you need, right? So there is some possibilities. But again, it's like a minion has to get out there. To play it in the same turn and have it be like worth it, you'd have to play like a 6-mana minion and then copy this on that same turn. That oftentimes hasn't been good enough historically, but things can change, obviously. So
Right. This one's a big question mark for me. We already talked about Mana Bind, right?
Yes.
Okay. Flame Guys we've talked about. Archaeologists talked about. Shimmering Tempest we jumped ahead and talked about. So let's move on to Paladin, of which we've talked about a good amount of these cards, which means we're skipping past Sunkeeper Tarim, the Last Kaleidosaur, Dino Size, and we're moving straight to Primal Fin Champion, a new epic Murloc for Paladins. It's a 2-mana 1/2 with a death rattle that reads: return any spells you cast on this minion to your hand.
So if you're trying to do your Last Kaleidosaur quest, this card is awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
And we saw it go pretty crazy on stream.
Yeah.
Yes. Now
on its own though, this card is terrible. Like you'll never see this card in Arena. And I don't think its Murloc tag means much. It possibly could mean something, but honestly, it's a card you don't play if you're trying to play Wild Anyfin because it dilutes your Murloc pool. So obviously it doesn't go there. And unless you're like playing a Murloc, buff Murloc.
Yeah, I was going to say buff Murlocs. Because
maybe,
the
but the
Murlocs
problem
are
is like
buffing each other and you've got buffing spells and...
Murlocs themselves aren't sticky enough though, right? So like if you're playing this Last Kaleidosaur quest, you probably just want stickier minions, and then this is just a minion that has this like awesome upside, right? Where I can play it and then I can buff it with my adaptation and my Blessing of Might, and my Blessing of Wisdom, and my Blessing of whatever, and then I get all those cards back. And I do it again and I get my quest done. So I don't think the Murloc tag itself means a lot. I doubt we'll be seeing a lot of Murloc Paladin, but it's there anyway. It means you'll get it randomly sometimes in like Murloc things, but
Yeah. I want minion buffing to be a thing. I have for a while. I've wanted, especially in Paladin, I've always wanted like token Paladin to be a thing. And minion buffing is always extremely risky because of the fact that if they remove it or anything, you lose all that. And this at least fights back against that a little bit, right? Obviously, if they bounce this back to your hand or transform it or silence it, you're just boned. But at the very least, at least if they kill it, you get it back.
Yeah. You can play around that. I mean, you can kind of force out the like. I'm assuming in this deck you're probably still playing Tyrion. You're probably still playing some other stuff that is hexable and polymorphable and stuff like that. So
I think the
Are
big
Paladins
thing.
ever not going to play Tyrion? I mean, really?
yeah, and until they decide to say that Tyrion is no longer part of this evergreen set, that card will just exist in Paladin decks. I think there's not enough downside to that. The downside is just the fact that it's a dead card until you can buff it.
Right.
So
I think the big thing with Primal Fin Champion, if you're going, obviously you're playing this. If you're playing the last Kaleidosaur, I don't think you're even considering it otherwise. But if you're questing as a priest or a paladin, I think you're playing this, and I think the big thing you're hoping to accomplish is casting adaptation on it. So I'm going to be jumping around a bit here. This is the 1 mana paladin spell we haven't talked about yet that reads adapt to friendly minion. So I think you want to adapt this, and you were crossing your fingers. You were praying. You're praying for liquid membrane, which is the can't be targeted by spells or hero powers adaptation.
I mean, any
Right,
of
so
the,
it can't be. Yeah.
Stealth is good.
Divine Shield, all of those will be fine.
Yeah, Divine Shield's
yeah.
less good, I feel, because I'm still afraid of rogues bouncing things back to my hand. I'm still afraid of maybe silence coming back and being a thing.
Yeah, no, definitely true. But I think there's going to be plenty of that. I think you're going to be playing all of the 1 mana buffing cards if you're playing Last Kaleidosaur, right? So I think Blessing of Wisdom, Blessing of Protection or whatever? What's the one that puts Hand of Protection, puts a shield on it? Like, all of that kind of stuff, those are going to be great to try to get your Last Kaleidosaur done. So, in that deck, yeah, you'll be playing this. You'll be playing Sticky Minions. So we'll be playing, like, Argent Squires and stuff like that, stuff with Death Rattle. Just trying to make sure you have minions that you can buff. Because once you get that damn Galvadon, man, you just, win the game from there. So, yeah, this card is definitely part of that package. And outside of that, never going to be seen anywhere else.
Oh, man. Wow. I feel stupid. Hachikumou in the chat room is totally right. If you put liquid membrane on this thing, this means you can't target it with your own spells. So
you can't put other spells on it.
Yeah.
Never mind. You want to stealth this
Pretty
sucker.
important.
You want to stealth this sucker.
Stealth it. Yeah.
So. Vine Cleaver. File this under God. I wish this card wasn't awful. 7 mana, 4 attack, 3 durability, paladin weapon that reads after your hero attacks, summon 2 1/1 Silverhand recruits.
Yeah, I mean, it's super slow. But if you can get it equipped, it's actually really good at that point, right?
Yeah, but man, 7 mana.
I mean, seven mana deal 12 damage is not terrible.
Plus, it gives you dudes, right? And we were just
and
talking
over
last.
over that it gives you 6 dudes. But we saw I think it's
turn
better
7.
than Piranha Launcher.
Yes.
It's better than Piranha Launcher.
But it's on
That
turn
being said,
7.
Piranha Launcher was just awful and never not seen at all. I think
But
in
this
Arena
is
you'll
what-
play it because weapons are just you just kind of want weapons, right? Like in Arena we pick the 7 mana Hunter weapon, right? Like in Arena you just want weapons.
Mhm.
However, in Constructed, yeah, it's gonna be tough.
I think-
Malgarok
But this
though.
is-
Like-
Ooh.
Sorry, go ahead, Joss.
I was going to say, this is another card that would kind of fit into the Silverhand Recruits deck, right? Because I was talking about how great that would be, or at least how fun to play around with it it's going to be in Wild, because you've got things like Quartermaster, Muster, all that kind of stuff. So if you're going, or Justicar as well. So if you're going down the Silverhand Recruits line of play, I think absolutely you put this card in. I think it's going to be so much fun in Wild. It does exactly what you're trying to do with your deck.
My Quartermaster comes out on 5 every time. I'm not that excited about Vine Cleaver. But I don't know. We're
Well,
being.
but Quartermaster's not the only thing that you can do with Silverhand Recruits now, though, right?
Yeah, you can Sunkeeper tear them.
You can Light Fuse,
adapt
steg it
all.
on them.
do
Yeah,
all
you can
sorts of
adapt
stuff.
them all,
There's gonna
yeah.
be lots of the game's not gonna be over by 5.
No, I
don't know. I think if that's the deck, then this goes in. That deck will probably suck if you're going that far down that path, though.
That's what
it's
I'm
more
thinking,
likely that you'll have some of that and then some other stuff and Lost in the Jungle and all that's going to be the only ones you really do.
Yeah,
more likely.
That's kind of my point. I don't think you could win that going that deep. And we've been very kind to slower cards because it does seem like things are slowing down. I think this is too slow. There is a line, and I think Vine Cleaver crosses that line. But
Well, I'm going to be the dissenting voice on this then.
all right. I hate this card.
I'm kind of dissenting as well. I say give Vine Cleaver a chance. I think Vine Cleaver looks terrible, but is better than other cards we've seen that are like have a similar type of effect or feel.
You're saying it's
better
good.
than those ones.
You're saying
it's
it's
the
good.
better of those bad cards.
Yeah, you're saying it's good compared to some of the worst cards ever.
Sure.
Okay.
But I mean, like I've drafted Piranha Launcher in Arena, and it's been amazing. Like again, like an Arena card, this card is totally fine.
No.
Constructed card, it just doesn't meet the quota.
I'm not fighting that. I'm fighting standard. I think in standard this is too slow. I think I'm absolutely taking this in Arena. I'm not fighting anyone on that, but we'll see. I'll be glad to eat my hat because if something turns out something makes Silverhand Recruits and it turns out to be good, I'm gonna be on the next episode saying, Jocelyn, I've never been more happy that you've been right. So
Again, and I'm talking wild. I'm not talking standard. So
okay, all right,
yeah.
fair enough. All right. And I don't really want to fight you on that because I want it to be true. So all right, cool. We can all be friends here. So we talked about Spike Reed Steed, Light Fuse Stegodon, Hydrologist. We have not talked about Lost in the Jungle, have we? Yes, we have.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're done with
not
Paladin.
adaptation though.
Yeah, but we jumped ahead and talked about adaptation.
We mentioned it. Yeah.
So yeah, we're good.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Priest, which we've already talked about their quest, but just to reiterate, it is Awaken the Makers, which you need to summon 7 Death Rattle minions and reward you with Amara, Warden of Hope. All right, that's out of the way. Cool. Let's talk about their legendary minion, Lyra, the Sun Shard. Jocelyn, do we have confirmation on the pronunciation of that name?
I have no idea.
Okay, cool.
I'm going with Lyra.
All right.
But Lyra could be as well.
All right, cool. I like Lyra better too. It's more fun.
Sounds better.
Anyway, this is the new legendary minion, which also happens to be an elemental for priests. It's going to be a 5 mana 3/5 that reads, whenever you cast a spell, add a random priest spell to your hand.
Okay. Free spells aren't that good. If it's that mage spell, it'd be like, yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's some cool spells being added. I like this.
Eh.
Yeah, but I don't know, dude. This feels pretty bad. The problem is Priest doesn't have enough cheap spells, I think. And again, also most Priest spells are pretty reactionary. So, and yes, we do have now Shadow Visions. You have Power Word Shield. Like you have those spells. But I think you're gonna play this and then play a few spells and then that's it. You're gonna be like, all right, cool, we're done now. Yeah, it's awkward because it's a little too expensive, and Nexus Champion Sarad is better than this card, I think, and that didn't really see play. So, because you were generating spells, this is cycling spells. So, I could be totally wrong. I wouldn't mind if this card was pretty cool, but just get the sense it's not gonna be very good.
I am excited about it. I'm not sure it's going to be good, but I am excited about this card just because of some of Priest's premium removal is fairly affordable, and also because of Shadow Visions, which we've already talked about. To reiterate, is the 2-mana spell for Priest that discovers a copy of a spell in your deck, so you could pull out.
Well, there's also, we gotta mention that there is now a new 1-mana spell and Radiant Elemental, which could help to make this a better card.
Yeah, actually, let's jump around, which we've been doing a lot, and let's talk about Radiant Elemental and Binding Heal, which is the 1-mana spell you're referring to. So Radiant Elemental is a new 2-mana 2/3 elemental minion for priests, and it reads your spells cost 1 less. So this seems like an awesome card. I think
it's a very good card. Yeah,
Priest is looking very magey.
Reverse Sorcerer's Apprentice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, priests are looking very mage right now, which I like. We're losing. Dragon Priest is gone in standard, by the way. We now know all the priest cards are coming in. It's confirmed. Dragon Priest gone. And then they're also getting Binding Heal, which is a new 1-mana spell for priests that restores 5 health to a minion and also to your hero. So,
which is really good.
Huge for 1 mana. That's a big thing. And I like, if someone out there, I know, because we keep getting tweeted by them, is going back through the entire back catalog of Angry Chicken episodes. And I'm sure if you listen to the early episodes of the show, we talked about that we don't like healing, especially Dills and I, because we were talking about Magic, and healing is typically not that great in Magic. But
but also Hearthstone has required more healing as time has gone on.
Exactly.
And that version of Hearthstone, that beta, first vanilla versions, healing was definitely not as important because the game was a lot slower and a lot more just about board control, and now it's about not dying to get to the thing that you need to get to.
Right, and Priest
so.
was just not that strong then either. To like, period. Priest just wasn't that strong at launch. But as time has gone on, as Priest has found its footing, it turns out that Priest really wants to like eke out as much value out of its minions as it can, and that comes from healing them, from trading with your minions and healing them so they can trade again. And Binding Heal is going to let you do that. So because of Radiant and Elemental, reducing the cost of your spells, and because of Binding Heal being this ridiculously good healing spell for 1 mana, I think it's worth trying, Lyra or Lyra. It's worth trying. I think this Elemental could work.
Chat room.
Yeah,
says
and by the way,
that
Lyra is
Rogue
an
called
Elemental
it.
herself. So if you're trying to play an Elemental Priest, then you probably do put it in just because it's going to be like one of your class elementals, which you only have a few of, right? You have Radiant, Crystalline, and this. So 3 total.
I'm not buying Elemental Priest because they don't have any elemental synergy within their class-specific elementals. None of them do anything well
No.
an elemental was played before. I mean, yes, we have some neutral elementals. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not drinking the Elemental Priest.
It's not going to
Kool-Aid.
be as good as like Shaman stuff. But again, like right now, the only thing that we're really seeing for an archetype from Priest is going to be like Awaken the Maker's Death Rattle Priest, right? So people are going to toy with other archetypes, which is going to be like Super Control Priest with some sort of big finisher, and then I'm sure we're going to see some people trying out elementals.
Joss, were you saying something?
Oh, I was just going to say the pronunciation is Lyra, according to Brode.
I don't like that as much.
All right.
It's a
I
fake
don't
name.
know.
I'm going to call it Lyra.
It's inconsistent because Ysera is like a sound.
Yeah.
Isn't it spelled different though? No, it's not.
Well, it's a Y.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I mean,
It's an E in Ysera.
but look, sometimes Y. Y can sound like all sorts of different things.
I like Lyra. That's what I'm going to call it. Deal with it. It's fake words. We haven't talked about Free from Amber yet, have we?
No, we have not.
We haven't talked about this. Oh my god, this is some of my favorite art in the game. I love this art. Anyways, that doesn't matter. It's adorable though. But it's a 8 mana priest spell that reads: discover a minion that costs 8 or more, summon it.
So summon it is not the same as play it, right? So if it has a
Correct.
battle cry, like let's say it's Deathwing, he won't destroy your hand.
Exactly.
Right?
No,
And all
he
the
won't-
other
he won't
minions.
do his-
Getting
He won't do
Deathwing
his
off
thing?
of
Yeah.
Getting Deathwing off of this is nuts. Also,
But if you get a Death Rattle, the quest is summon, not play, so
Yes.
it will
Right.
work there.
so that works too.
I mean, look, sometimes you'll get an 8 mana Ysera, sometimes you'll get an 8 mana Deathwing, right? Sometimes you'll get a 7 mana whatever if you have Radiant Elemental already out there. So it's a card that, it's like, it's very slow no matter what, but you are going to be getting, like, you could almost, depending on how good your average results are, you could almost like replace your late game with just like this, and then you get like situational late game that you can kind of get whenever you want. So, but sometimes it's not going to work very well at all. It's still,
Well, but
I
you
think,
get to
better
do-
though than the 0 mana summon thing, right? Where you didn't, like, it was random every time.
Well,
Oh,
that's
you
the
get
thing.
Discover,
This is
it's great.
Discover, yeah. So it's not a random minion. So I think since you have that little bit of control, like chat room saying 6/10s and stuff like that, well, you don't pick the 6/10. Like the chances of you getting 3 really terrible choices in the 8 mana or more slot, I don't really think is going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
no, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be less of a problem. It's gonna be about someone's gonna like crunch the numbers on your average result here, and is there your average result for essentially a small discount if you get a 9 or 10 mana spell or guy? Is that discount worth just not playing that guy that you wanted in the first place? Right, that's kind of the question here. So it's a tough card to really, until I've played with it, and I definitely will try it out, and I'll play around and I'll see what it kind of feels like, because it is true. Like if I can get a card that, like in this particular situation, this card is good, and I get to discover from 3 options and pick the best one for the current situation going on, that's awesome. Because sometimes Ysera is just stuck in your hand and you wish you could play her, but there's never a situation where you're not going to die, and I have time to just play 9 mana whatever. But if I could play an 8 mana, pick one of these huge minions, and I pick the one that's best for the situation, like you get like Sogoth, right? Like I need defensive tools. Oh my god, a 5/9 taunt. That's amazing. that's fantastic. So there are some really good minions going away. That people keep talking about Ragnaros in the chat room. No more Ragnaros in standard if you're playing this card, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
No, sadly. But in Wild, hey,
Yeah.
get him.
Hell yeah, Wild is will be a really cool card.
Yeah.
But again, I think the battle cry thing is very important. There are some very good battle cries on these giant minions, and those are no longer like that's not an option. You're gonna be looking for death rattles. You're looking for just strong bodies. You're looking for persistent effects, things like that.
Yep. All right, let's move on to Mirage Caller. This is a 3-mana 2/3 with a battle cry that reads, choose a friendly minion, summon a 1/1 copy of it. It's a cool card.
It's very cool. Purify Priest. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. I actually thought Firebat's been playing around with the Purify Priest, and it looks quite fun, but doesn't have all the tools it'll have when this stuff comes. Mirage Caller is a super cool. It's like a little Barnes that you control. So, and like you get your giant dude that's a 1/1, then you silence that guy and he gets his stats back and all that kind of stuff. And also there will be some cards like Death Rattle stuff that you'll just want. So
I think
this card will definitely make the cut.
I like kind of putting that seesaw on like how you value these cards if you're Team 5, right? Like if you want to summon a 1/1 copy and you want to have some control over it, you have to have a minion on board. Whereas if you just want to play a minion and you get a 1/1 off of it, it's going to be random. Like that precedent they're setting.
Yeah. I mean, at worst, it's what 3/4 for stats for 3. So
yeah, but
it costs 2 bodies. Like
yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, but chances are you're going to do this on something that gives you added value if you copy it. So your Death Rattle cards, for example.
Oh yeah, I mean, people in chat already said put this on Radiant Elemental, right? Get -2 on your spells.
Gross, so gross. And not to mention this is summoning. If it's on a Death Rattle minion, it counts towards your quest because it's summon, not play. Huzzah!
Cool card.
Yep. We already talked about Radiant Elemental, Binding Heal, Crystalline Oracle, and Tortolan Shellraiser. So
we did it.
We're going to move on to Rogue, but before we do that, we have another sponsor to thank. We have to thank .game Domains for sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. They are available wherever domain names are sold. Go to your web.coms, your hovers. We would recommend you to register because they also sponsor this show. We are shills. We are shameless shills. Deal with it. But
I mean, also that site is actually just pretty good.
Yeah.
All these other sites that sell domain names are pretty tough. So
yeah, exactly.
So go there and get .game, man.
It is. You can also go directly to get.game. Check it out. As we've mentioned before, it is a relatively new domain name that launched in May of last year. Many of the best names are still available. And you're going to go over there, you're going to check it out. And yes, they are a little more expensive than you might be expecting, but that is by design so that people don't go and squat on your domain name for like $10. So there you go. Check them out. .game domains at get.game or just about anywhere domain names are sold. Now, Rogue time. It's Rogue time. We've talked a good amount of Rogue cards already. We've talked about both their legendary minion and their quest, the Caverns Below, which, to remind you all, as we talk about these other cards, is to play 4 minions with the same name. And then you get your Crystal Core. But let's talk about cards we haven't seen yet, starting with Vile Spine Slayer, which just rolls off the tongue. It is so hard not to spit when saying that. This is going to be your 5-mana 3/4 with a combo that destroys a minion. So if you play a card before this, you get to destroy a minion when this hits the board.
This card is disgustingly good.
Free Assassinate seems good.
You have to combo to get the Assassinate, but yeah,
but
you'll
true,
be able
like
to do that. Yeah.
you're always trying to combo as a rogue, right?
Yeah. So like 5, you could just assassinate a minion, or you could combo something and then get a 3/4 and assassinate a minion.
Yeah,
I like that better.
It's so good, and arena wise, it's amazing. Actually, I was watching the Lightforge the other day, and they're talking like the Kidnapper is actually like a good card in arena, and that's like a 6-mana 5/3 that saps the minion, and this is like a 5-mana 3/4 that assassinates the minion. What? Like, talk about power creeping. That's pretty insane. So this is just a super good card, and it does. I think it was Ixar talked about. They wanted Rogue to be like the king of single target removal, and they have accomplished that. This card is just damn good.
That is, I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I like this sub theme with rogues that they just have all of these terrifying plants.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't talk about
It
lore.
kind of
and-
makes sense because if you're thinking about like crafting poisons and stuff, you would do that with
Yeah.
plants, and rogue is the poison class.
Not to mention they're probably the only people sneaky enough to survive getting close to these damn things. So we don't talk about lore and themes a lot, but
true.
I do get into it. I really like the theming going on with Ungoro. So let's talk about Biteweed, another angry plant, and I love the name. I love the idea of going through Ungoro and just being like, oh crap, Biteweed. It's fantastic. This is going to be a 2-mana 1/1. It's an epic rarity, by the way, with a combo that reads gain +1/+1 for each other card you've played this turn. So, hey guys, Edwin Van Cleef apparently has a green thumb.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
it's like a little
he's
tiny Van
mini
Cleef.
Edwin, yeah.
But not nearly as good.
No, but still, super cool.
So I mean, okay, so if you're playing these like degenerate, the thing is, I think questing is just still better, right? Like for 1 more mana, you start with the 1/1, and then you can grow it. I just don't know now if the questing thing will still exist now that Conceal is moving to Wild, right? So this kind of depends on if this type of play style is still even good when you can't conceal all these minions, because we've already seen there's so many more big minions now. And ways to deal with big minions. Is it that great to just generate big minions that require you to work really hard to do so, and then they just get killed? I don't know. Like Rogue might have to go down a different path.
I don't really think it is. Like we're going to talk about, where is it? Razor Petal Volley, which let's just mention now while we're talking about cards that don't seem like they're good. This is a 2-mana common rogue spell that adds 2 Razor Petals to your hand that deal 1 damage. And there is a minion that also generates Razor Petals in your hand.
Razor Petal Lasher. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm specifically focusing on Razor Petal Volley. So this is 2 mana, add 2. They are 1 mana spells, right?
1 mana deal 1.
Yep.
I'm trying to find the token somewhere in the tokens
You
thing.
you went by it. There it
did
is.
I? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's 1 mana. I don't think that's worth it. If it was, I think there might be a place for Biteweed, but...
Well, it could be just because, like, in a vacuum, Razor Petal Volley is terrible. But the fact that it generates... It's like you play this, it's fairly cheap. Then you generate 2 really cheap spells. And then you can kind of consider the fact that for 2 mana, or for 4 mana, you also gain +4/+4 for your Biteweed, which was also a cheap card. And if you're trying to, like, bring your Sherazin Corpse Flower back, it's going to be hard to do when you run out of cards, like when you only can play the 30 cards that exist in your deck at the beginning of the game. So to be generating really cheap ones and then bringing back Sherazin, like there's maybe some deck out there that utilizes all these things in a really useful manner. But when you look at these cards without thinking of those things and their synergy there, it's a terrible card. Like to pay 2 mana to get 2 really bad spells is awful. But the idea here, I think, is just to make it more possible to do the 4 cards in a turn, to make giant Biteweeds, that kind of stuff. So it's possible these are good. But again, this is a super wait and see. Like, these feel terrible.
Yeah. It's like if they got...
That deck's going to have to be good.
If rogues got the priest card that reduced their mana cost of spells by 1, then I'd look at Razor Petal Volley and be like, all right, maybe there's something there. I pay 1 mana and then my Razor Petals are 0. But... like I'm with you. This is one of those where I'm sitting here scratching my head like, man, this doesn't seem good.
Yeah, and you know the Razor Petal Lasher is fine because you pay 2 for a 2/2 and you know what you're getting, which is, you know, like a Mortal Coil that doesn't give a card. But that's fine.
That's fine in a rogue.
In rogue, dealing 1 extra damage somewhere sometime is pretty good. It's a little 1 mana ping. That's actually pretty good. That card's gonna be great in arena. This Razor Petal Volley, though, like that just looks bad.
Yeah, if we had seen Biteweed and Razor Petal Volley first, without seeing any of the other rogue cards, my inclination would have been, oh, I bet you we're getting a lot more cards that give us Razor Petals. But no, we're just getting Razor Petal Lasher. That is it. So it's Razor Petal Lasher, and it's Razor Petal Volley, and that is the only cards that are going to give us those 1 mana, 1 damage spells. Yeah. So I'm not a believer.
So we got some people in the chat room saying some interesting stuff, though, which I am totally on board with. Malagos Rogue, and also because you can go face with the razor petals.
Right.
And then also Yogg. This is Yogg food, right? So
I don't react to anyone saying Yogg anymore.
yeah, but that's super fun. I'm not saying for competitive reasons. I'm just saying for super fun reasons. If you play a Yogg rogue, you definitely probably put those in because you're just generating spells.
Yogg was
Also Arcane Giants.
Yogg was so not fun for so
Giants
long.
rogue?
There's something there. Is it good? We don't know yet. But there's something there, and I will try.
There are multiple classes where I'm looking at the cards that are getting on Angoro where I'm going, okay, cool. Control is coming back. Rogue is not one of them. I'm not sure Control Rogue is going to be a thing, and I think you need to be able to live to pull off your Malygos Rogue.
Yeah, but I mean, you still have Backstab, Eviscerate, and now you have Vile Spine Slayer. I mean, that might just be enough on its own. Just that one
That's
card.
good. All right. So. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, I guess.
But these cards might not make it into a Control Rogue. These cards make it into some sort of a, some sort of rogue that's trying to do something broken with Arcane Giants and stuff. That's what this stuff does.
Gotcha.
And Auctioneer stuff and Biteweed stuff and Edwin stuff. We'll see.
Biteweed sounds like an insult. Like you're Biteweed. I don't know. Anyways, Obsidian Shard is next. 4 mana, 3 attack, 3 durability rogue weapon that costs 1 less for each card you've played from another class.
Seems pretty good to me.
It seems it's interesting, right? Because if you get this thing down to 2 mana, it's really good, but you're never going to get it down to 2 mana by turn.
You get
2.
down to 3 mana, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, Swashbuckler gets played in a lot of different rogue decks. Like, you don't even have to go full Burgle. You could just Swashbuckle on turn 1 like most rogues do, and...
We still have Swashbuckler, we still have Undercity Huckster.
We're getting Hallucination.
We're getting Hallucinate. Getting cards from other people's classes is not going to be that difficult. And I actually, with the Ethereal Peddler and kind of an aggro rogue build, I was making that work pretty well. So you can kind of go like Pirate Package plus Ethereal Peddler Package plus now one more tool that we didn't really have. And to be honest, like in Arena, this card's just going to be good even as like a 4-mana 3/3 weapon. Like it's almost an Assassin's Blade, right? It's one charge short of being an Assassin's Blade in a class that has plenty of ways to buff weapons. I mean, when you can put deadly poisons on it, when you can play the 5/4 pirate that buffs it, like when you can do all that kind of stuff. This is a very cool card, I think. So I think you're gonna see this played, and this might actually make that type of deck, that Ethereal Peddler type of deck, with a little aggro texture to it, a fairly decent deck. I played it a lot, and I won quite handily with it. So you can't play this and just hope to get good cards and play control style. You do have to also be an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
But a 3/3 weapon that's like 9 damage, and if I'm getting it for 2 or 1 or 0 or even 3, if I can just get any discount on it, it's super good. So I think we'll see this. And definitely in Arena we'll see this.
And if you're no, never mind. But if you're, what was I trying to think of? I don't know. My brain is leaving me. But I think the point I was trying to make is the comments I saw was like, oh, you want to get this out early, but at the same time, no, not really. Even if this comes out later, it's still a combo enabler because it's going to be so cheap.
Yeah. And you're probably just going to be like bashing face with it. I mean, if you're thinking like, oh, it's not going to kill minions, who cares? I'm going to kill your face.
Well, actually, with Envenom Weapon, any weapon in Rogue will be killing minions.
We should probably talk about this card. This card is kind of interesting.
Yes, this new 3-mana spell for Rogues, and it reads, give your weapon poisonous, which is the new keyword that's being added and retrofitted to older cards, which were, if this...
Finally, we know why Blade Flurry was nerfed.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's disgusting.
Finally. Yeah. Thank you, because it was driving me crazy. But here you go. Here's the card design space that was not available to them when Blade Flurry was 2 mana.
Yep. Okay.
Probably Obsidian Shard too. Honestly, was not available to them at a 2-mana Blade Flurry. So here we go. But yeah, you could have killed, and you still can. It's going to cost you a whole hell of a lot. You have to pay 2 mana for your dagger, and 3 mana for your Envenom, and then you're going to pay 4 mana to Blade Flurry. So 9 mana Twisting Nether. There you go.
Yep.
Seems bad.
It does seem bad. It does seem bad. But Envenom Weapon does not seem bad. I'm very excited about this card. Because I've wanted to try and make like a long form rogue, like a rogue that could actually fight for the board, a thing. And I don't know if this is enough, but it at least gives me a new tool.
It's 2 assassinates for 5 mana if you think about it, plus some face damage is what it really is. Because
you're gonna sack some life.
Make a dagger, and then you envenom it, and you kill something, and then you still have this poison dagger, right? And that's realistically how this card will be used. So you can, like in Arena, you could think of it like that. I don't know about in Constructed if this is really going to be a thing, but it might be. We'll see. But the problem with it is that the second charge that's envenomed, people will just not play another large minion into an envenomed dagger, right? So it's not going to hit 2 huge minions. They're not going to be like, oh, sweet, you killed 1 big minion. Now let me just play some giant thing again. They're going to play they're going to spread the board out a little bit, right? And do that kind of thing. So people will be able to play around it pretty easily, which makes it less good than 2 straight assassinates. But still, for 5 mana and some face damage, killing 2 things, pretty decent. Oh, people are saying it doesn't work with the poison because apparently the spell, not the thing. But I know that if you put poisonous on Wild Pyromancer and it goes off, it does kill everything.
Yes, but that's because the Wild Pyromancer is dealing the damage. Yeah.
But apparently in this case, and I don't agree with that. I think the dagger is the thing that should be dealing the damage, even though
because the damage is based off of the dagger and you're destroying the dagger to do it.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that's...
I think you're right. I think it
not
should
work that
work,
way. That's stupid, I think.
Yeah. Apparently, there was a tweet about it, so...
Consistency Steve. Related to PatchNet Steve, striking again. Also, even if it's not, even if you want to make the arguments, it's not an argument of consistency. Can we just make the argument that it would have been really cool if it worked that way?
Sure.
It would explain Blade Flurry, so now it doesn't. So now WTF Blade Flurry.
So never mind. Blade Flurry.
Obsidian Shard, maybe.
Blade Flurry died in vain. It is official. Blade Flurry died in vain. So.
But yeah, I think Envenom Weapon is a cool card. It's less amazing because of the counterplay, but still cool.
Yeah. Also, in a world with Discover, I like spells like this. Because there'll be time, like you might not want to put it into your deck, but if you discover a spell as a rogue somehow, there's going to be situations where you're like, holy crap, Envenom Weapon, that saves my skin. So, I like it. Razor Petal Lasher.
Well, we do have a way to discover spells, but it's from other people's classes.
Right, right. So in the mirror match, there you go. Razor Petal Lasher, we talked about a little bit, but just to reiterate, it's a 2-mana 2/2 with a battle cry that adds a Razor Petal to your hand that deals 1 damage. This is the 1-mana 1 damage spell we talked about quite a bit already when we talked about Razor Petal Volley. I think we like this minion, right? Consensus, good minion.
Razor Petal Lasher.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which means we can just move on to Hallucination because, oh my god, this show is going long. This is a new 1-mana spell, which we've alluded to a bit for rogues, and it reads, discover a card from your opponent's class.
So it's always a class card. Class cards are good. And 1 mana discover a card is really good, even if it's from your opponent's class. But like it's just, in a way, like you don't get a 1/1 body, but the fact that you get to pick the spell means you're never going to get stuck with something you can't use, right? Yeah. So this card just seems really good. Seems really good to me.
Yep.
Especially paired with the weapon, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Like you pick a card that's useful, you make your Obsidian Shard cheaper. But like in Arena, in Constructed, I think we're going to see this card everywhere because it's just 1 mana get a spell, a useful card.
It's so much flex. It's so much flex. You get to choose something that you did not enter the game with. It's probably you get to make a choice based on where you are in the game.
Yeah,
so, I like it.
Funny enough, none of the cards we talked about today for Rogue help with the caverns below at all. So that is still jury's out on that.
It's gonna be really tricky.
Yeah, that's strange. Rogues and mages, man. Who knows what those quests?
Who knows?
We will have to see. Let's talk about Shaman. We already talked about their legendaries, but just keep in mind that their quest is to summon 10 Murlocs so that you get yourself a Mega Fin. We've actually talked about quite a few Shaman cards, so let's move past everything. And
yeah, they released a bunch of these quickly.
Yeah, so. I believe the first Shaman card we haven't discussed is Primal Fin Totem.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Bring on the Murloc.
I cannot look at this card and not giggle. It's
Right?
a 2-mana
Big
0.
underbite with the teeth.
It's a 2-mana 0/3 totem minion for shamans, and it reads, at the end of your turn, summon a 1/1 Murloc. So you're guaranteed to get 1/1 Murloc off of this. Anything beyond that is extremely suspect. 3 health, relatively easy to deal with. I don't know about Mr. Primal Fin Totem, even though it makes my heart smile.
I think if you're playing Unite the Murlocs, you can probably fit this in, because it's something that has to be dealt with. It will pull removal out. Otherwise, you just continue to summon Murlocs. You can obviously, it's a body on board that you can use Flame Tongue Totems on. You can, you can Bloodlust and it's a body. There's ways for Shaman to utilize weak-looking bodies, right? I think so. We're losing Totem Golem. We're losing what's too, right? Is Thing from Below going?
That's a good question.
No, that was
Thing
Old
from
Gods.
Below is going.
I don't think so.
That was
Isn't
Old
Thing
Gods.
from Below from Old Gods?
Yes.
So we're not losing that. So there you go. Here's another totem to.
But we are
so you can play
losing-
Thing from Below and protect your Murlocs.
We're
So,
losing Thunderbluff Valiant, which is another one to keep in mind.
Right.
Sure.
If you're going a mid-range route.
But that card hadn't been seeing play for a while. Yeah, you're right. Whispers of the Old Gods. So yeah, Thing from Below is still around. So, there's reasons to play this. I think it's possible. It's not like I don't look at this and be like, oh my god, auto include in my Unite the Murlocs deck, but a card I consider for sure.
Yeah.
I
Also,
keep thinking it's Untie the Murlocs.
Untie.
I keep having this
Untie them,
weird
release them.
dyslexic thing with this quest for some reason. I keep thinking it's Untie the Murlocs.
Jocelyn, why are you tying your Murlocs together?
I
Are
don't
you
know.
taking them? Are you taking them on a field trip? Like, are they on leashes?
Everyone, make sure you have a buddy.
Oh, for the love of God! Oh,
So lore wise, what's going on here? Is it just like it's got like that scent that attracts Murlocs?
yes, it's a shaman who also
must,
is a
yes.
fisherman, and he's got that little squeeze bottle of odor, and he just sprays it on his
Alright.
totem. He just made it look like Murloc because he's he has an Etsy store and he's handy. So. Fire Plume Harbinger is next. This is a 2-mana 1/1 elemental minion for shamans with a battle cry that reads, reduce the cost of elementals in your hand by 1.
Okay,
Cool.
I'll buy it. It's an elemental itself. Bridges the gap.
Bridges the
Makes
gap.
your next turn's really cheap. I like it.
Hey, look, shaman's gonna do Grimy Goons better than Grimy Goons.
They're gonna
Because
like
Shaman does everything, right?
Shaman does
Shaman
everything.
does everything.
Shaman
They're
does everything.
Murloc decks. They're elemental decks. They're aggro decks. They're control decks.
They even
What do you-
they even heal now, and they're going to continue to heal more because of Tidal Surge, a 4-mana common spell for shamans that deals 4 damage to a minion and restores 4 health to your hero.
Yeah. This card won't see play until Jade Lightning is gone, right?
No, but I think it'll probably find a home at some point, probably next year, like you said, when Jade Lightning is gone. But targeted damage
Yeah.
is good, healing is good. Targeted damage that can't go face in Shaman is good for everyone else.
Thank you.
So sign me up for Tidal Surge.
I think you will definitely see this in Arena, though, because it's another removal. It's like Shaman are getting better in Arena because now they have even more removal. Like Volcano and this, these are good cards for Arena. So you will see it there for sure. But not in Constructed, not yet.
Hot Spring Guardian, a new elemental minion. It's 3 mana 2/4 that has Taunt and also a Battle Cry that restores 3 health. I like
And
this.
that could go onto minions, heroes, whatever.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, it's
So-
a targeted heal.
Yeah.
I like this card.
I mean,
a
that's
lot.
pretty good. 3 mana 2/4 taunt. There already exists 3 mana 2/4 taunts that don't do anything else. So now we got one that also heals something.
Yeah, but I'm not. It's not going to come down, and I'm not going to feel like I'm staring down the barrel of a cannon.
Sure. For 1 more mana, you get a 3/6 without taunt, and you overload. A control shaman probably wants to play this, right?
I dig it.
I think outside of that, and again, I think this will also be a pretty decent arena card because being able to make a trade with a minion and then save that minion to trade again is actually a pretty useful tool. So I think we'll definitely see it there.
Plus, it's an
just
elemental,
seems like
right?
it's an elemental. So
Yeah.
there you go.
So elemental, which in Shaman means quite a bit because they have a lot of elemental synergy going on. And speaking of which, let's wrap up Shaman with one more elemental. The Air Elemental, a 1-mana 2/1 that cannot be targeted by spells or hero powers.
This card's super good.
Especially with no more tunnel trogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Clogging up that one drop.
like in Arena, I look at this card and I'm like, it's like a Worgen Infiltrator that kind of keeps its stealth, right? Like sometimes you don't attack with your Worgen Infiltrator because you don't want to, release it from its stealth and then allow it to be vulnerable. But yeah, in Arena, you're going to love this card because it's a card that kind of guarantees to get minion trade value rather than just get pinged off or, killed with a spell. So
Yeah, what's the
Super
worst case
good.
scenario? You go up against a rogue.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, they'll have to dagger it, but
Right.
It's a very cool card for Arena. It's a very cool card, I think, just to have more elementals that are cheap to activate elementals going forward in Shaman. I think we'll see it.
I think so too. There's a few classes where it's not as good against, but it's pretty damn good against many classes. So bring on the Air Elemental. Okay, let's move on to Warlock. I'm getting winded, guys. I'm sorry.
We're getting there.
I'm
Yay.
sorry. Like any other week when I'm not getting over whatever the hell's been wrong with me, I would have been like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just do it all. But I'm running out of gas here. We've already talked about Clutch Mother Zavis and Lakari Sacrifice. Just as a reminder, the quest is to discard 6 cards, and your reward is another portal, and it's insane. So the first new Warlock card we're going to talk about is Chittering Tunneler, which is a 3-mana 3/3 beast minion for Warlocks with a battle cry that reads, discover a spell, deal damage to your hero equal to its cost.
So I love the design because, again, your opponent is getting some information. But damn, like sometimes you're gonna see like Doom, and you're gonna be like, I want Doom.
Yeah.
I can't take 10 damage.
Ow, my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. This card is rough at best. I feel like with Warlock, there's a lot of these things where you're getting this kind of big drawback, but you can't afford to put in a bunch of healing and stuff. So it's a little tough.
Yeah, and like Warlocks, they already have a lot of cards with drawbacks that are worth playing, that are time tested, things like Soulfire, Flame Imp, that kind of stuff. I'm not sure Chittering Tunneler finds a home.
No.
Definitely, especially in
It's
standard.
expensive. Like
Yeah.
That
You're only
it
getting
should have
3/3
better
body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should have better stats or be cheaper or something. Like a 1-mana 3/3 or because I mean Flame Imp, like you just said, that's a 1-mana 3/2 that only does a set amount of damage to your hero,
I mean,
right?
I get it,
What
'cause you're-
happens if you get like you go to discover with this card and you get like Twisting Nether, Doom, and something else huge, and you like you all of a
Siphon
sudden
Soul.
yeah, and all of a sudden you're like way down on your health.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think it needs to be a 1-mana 3/3 because there is value in discovering the spell, but I would have been fine.
Such a huge downside.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is. I think this is, earlier when I was really ripping on the Paladin Warrior, I'm like, guys, there's a line for speed, for how slow something is, and I think it's crossed it. There's a line for drawbacks in Warlock, and I think Chittering Tunneler crosses it.
Yeah, no, I
Maybe
like
if Sorry.
what Cho'Gall didn't see play, right? And we thought it was really good. Turns out, like, taking a bunch of damage, not as good.
I'm wondering if maybe this would be playable in Wild if you're playing a Reno deck, just because then you can afford, because you have that huge heal, you can afford to take a little bit more damage early on. So maybe this is the kind of thing where you want to discover more tools and more, big Warlock removal spells, and that would be okay. But I feel like in Standard, without the ability to heal back to full, I don't think you can afford to potentially take 6, 8, 10 damage on turn 3.
I think it's a really good point, Joss. I think Reno, Lock, and Wild, I think we'll flirt around with Chittering Tunneler. It's going to be like, hey, Chittering Tunneler, you're looking nice today.
The game has changed quite a bit, though, right? Like, we used to think of health more as a resource, and now we've just been beat down so many times that health is just so much more precious.
Yeah, it seems to go in kind of cycles, right?
There's an
I
ebb and
can
flow
use my
to
health as a resource. Oh, I can't. Pirates are a thing. Oh, they're gone again. Huzzah,
You know who can
health
use-
as a resource again.
You know who can use their health as a resource? Aggro decks, because
Yeah.
They don't plan for the game to go long. But
You're already utilizing your health to draw cards. You're utilizing health to do so many things. It's like, man, do we need to do more of that? And this is a lot of health. Like if it was like discover a spell, take 2 damage. Like, okay, I'm on board. But taking the amount of damage that the spell costs, oh god. So
Pretty brutal.
that can be a lot.
Well, if you don't like Cho'Gall-like effects, you're probably not going to like our next card, Blood Bloom, which is a 2-mana spell for Warlocks that reads, the next spell you cast this turn costs health instead of mana.
Now, I think this one has better applications, though, because this is a controllable one. And because it's cheap enough, the problem with Cho'Gall was it's just too late, right, to be impactful, because all you're really getting is like the body of Cho'Gall as like the big upside. Here, though, on turn 2, I could play Karakazam. And you know when Karakazam would be really good is on turn 2. So
That is true. Yeah,
there.
that could be very, very, very powerful.
Yeah, there's something there.
And
Now, that
plus,
being
I
said,
just want to play that card.
yeah, it might not be enough. But like if Warlocks had more minion generating spells, then I could definitely see this finding a much better spot. But for right now, like that's pretty much it. So,
And what happens when you don't get Karakazam in your
when
opening
you don't have
hand?
those two, exactly.
Like, or Blood Bloom in your opening hand, or draw into it by turn 2. Like you're just like, oh damn it! Somewhere in my deck are 4 cards that I'm going to be really unhappy to see later in the game.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to like find the better scenario, and I think this does have an upside to it more than Chittering Tunneler, because you're actually casting the spell, and you can put your opponent in a tough spot if it's something like that. That being said, I honestly believe there's not enough of that stuff in a Warlock right now to make this actually find a spot.
Yeah, not yet. That's one of those things. Then I'm looking now that you've mentioned that, because I didn't even think about Karakazam. Maybe more of that's coming in the next 2 sets this year.
It'd be very cool.
Soon, TM.
Yeah, maybe Blood Bloom is setting up for future expansions. Who knows? Cruel Dynamancer's next. This is a new minion for Warlocks. It's a 6-mana 5/5 with a death rattle that reads, summon a random minion you discarded this game. Guys, I'm in love. I'm smitten.
Yeah, this is great.
Completely smitten with this card. I love backdoor, like graveyard-esque mechanics.
Well,
So
the
many
thing is, you're
silverware
going to
golems.
yeah, you're going to be discarding cards, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're playing this quest.
If you're questing,
So
yes.
This is another great way. A 6-mana 5/5 plus another body, and the other body could be a Doomguard, right?
Yep. The possibilities are endless because you could discard any minion potentially.
Like, what bad minions can you get off of this?
Well, I mean,
Well, they probably won't be bad minions, right? Because you're putting them in your deck in the first place.
your worst
Right.
case scenario is just, lower mana minions. Like you discarded like a Flame Imp or something. But even in that scenario, it's not that bad. You're getting a 5/5 and a 3/2
then
that
there's no
doesn't
drawback,
damage your
right?
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not getting damaged when it enters because it's summoning. You're not playing it out of hand.
If you're getting like possessed villager, you're fine with
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, but and
You
even,
know?
like that's it's pretty unimpactful. It's not a ton of you're not breaking the game, but it's still okay, right? You're at the end of the day, you still have 7/7 worth of stats for 6 mana.
Yeah, totally.
Ooh, chat has a really good question. If you discard Clutch Mother, then when it's brought back by Dinomancer, do you get the buff version or the 2/2 version?
I think you get
Probably
like
the
let's say
2/2 version.
you get the 2/2 if it's only been discarded once, but if it's been discarded multiple times, it's like the 2/2 went into the graveyard, the 4/4 went in the graveyard, the 6/6 went in the
So
graveyard.
it's not. Is it a green buff or is it transformed?
Well, that's the thing. Is it Cthulhu where it's a permanent buff, or is it a? I'm pretty sure you would just get a
Ooh,
2/2.
like a
I think it would
Cthulhu
treat it
buff,
like
yeah.
I think it would treat it like a. I think it would just come as a 2/2. I think it would treat it like a priest resurrected. It is just what the card usually is.
Yeah.
What the
I
base
hope
card
not.
is.
I hope you can
Interesting.
get a 4/4, a 6/6, or an 8/8.
Yeah, I really doubt that because Cthulhu is kind of special, right, in that regard. Mm-hmm. No other
And they were
card has
very
done that.
specific about how Cthulhu worked, and I feel like we haven't gotten that level of specificity with Clutch Mother. So probably it's because they expect us to just know that it comes back as a 2/2, and it's not a persistent buff.
Yeah, I don't like that though. I've been playing. So like I told you guys, I've been playing a lot of these other games, and all these other games, it's a really cool effect that it takes advantage of what digital card games can offer. If a card gets put into your graveyard, it maintains any buffs that it had. which I think is a great way to handle that. It's so cool because you can, like, there's mechanics where you buff things as you're putting them into your graveyard kind of stuff and then pull them out better, right?
Right.
So you like sacrifice its tempo for now to like get it back later as a better version of itself. Or you buff things that are in your deck, and by the time they show up, similar to Cthulhu, they're this whatever, right? It's not just the Cthulhu that does it. It's like everything.
It's a balancing act, though, right? I mean, we're getting a lot of discard synergy in this expansion. Do we need that as well? Does Clutch Mother make or break it? I don't think so.
Probably not. I mean, it's probably fine if it's always a 2/2, but could be cooler.
It
could definitely be cooler, but I don't think it breaks. I don't think Cruel Dinomancer suffers.
Dinomancer a bad card.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
That's the point.
not at all. No, I was just curious about how that would work because with the constant discard buff thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Good card. Feeding Time is next. A new rare Warlock spell. Going to cost you 5 mana, and it deals 3 damage to a minion, then summons 3 1/1 pterodaxes.
This is what
it's implosion, man. It's
it
balanced.
is.
Right?
Yeah.
It's balanced.
Do the same thing every time, please.
Yeah, it's balanced, non-random implosion.
They did it.
It's pterodaxplosion.
They took away the randomness to make it always do the same thing, which is whatever a 3 damage implosion would have been for 1 more mana. So you're never going to hit for 2 and be sad. You're never going to hit for 4 and make the other guy sad. You're always going to do the same damn thing, and that's great.
Yep.
Less of that stupid randomness that makes no sense.
Yep.
More of the good stuff.
Yep.
I like it.
Good card. Tarlurker, 5 mana, 1/7 elemental. It's a common. It has taunt, and like the other Tar minions we've talked about, it has more attack on your opponent's turn. In this case, +3 attack during your opponent's turn. I
like this design.
I like these Tar minions a lot, and I'm gonna invoke Magic. Just bear with me. I like walls in Magic. I like wall minion creatures in Magic. And this is kind of a cool Hearthstone spin on that idea.
Yeah. Great card in Arena for sure. Constructed, we shall see. But if you're playing like a super control deck, it's a great defensive option, but super good in Arena. I mean, just be able to put up, like you said, like a wall, right?
Yeah.
And then during like your opponent's turn, you just ping face essentially for 1. But during your turn, they're like, damn it, I got to trade all these minions into this thing. So super cool. Super cool.
Lakari Fellhound, we already talked about. Ravenous Pterodax, we already talked about. So cool, let's move on to Warrior. Goodness gracious, guys, we haven't even moved to neutral yet. How do we feel about...
We can power through neutral.
Yeah,
There's
not
that much going on.
All right, cool. We already talked about King Mosh, but we have not talked about Fireplume's Heart, the quest for Warriors. Oh my god, guys. Like every other quest, 1 mana. The quest is to play 7 taunt minions. Your reward is Sulfurous, which I'm going to need to go and find over in the tokens. There it is. Sulfurous is the Hand of Ragnaros. It is a 3 mana, 4 attack, 2 durability weapon. You don't care about any of that. The battle cry on this is your hero power becomes deal 8 damage to a random enemy. And
it's a battle cry, not a death rattle of the weapon.
Happens.
So you can do it right away, which is why I was so confused, because it's a 3 mana quest reward. But if you hero power in the same turn, that's where your 5 mana comes from.
You do not go to 8 health.
Yes.
Do not pass go.
You do not get a Jocelyn emote.
Also, here's a 3 mana 4/2 weapon to clean up the board this turn. Yeah, what is wrong with, like, there's nothing bad about this.
And also,
other than you have to play Taunt Warrior to start.
Well, that's the thing. They're getting some cool taunt minions. They're getting some.
So
really
Taunt
cool
Warrior
taunt minions.
historically has sucked balls. Okay.
Yes.
Now, but if I have a reward like this waiting on the other end, okay, I'm in. This is insane. This is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool card. And this is what I was talking about. This is what I was alluding to much earlier in the show when I said, hey, guys, I like that they're giving us like a new kind of slower road to go down. Like, it's like Taunt Warrior, in a way, you could kind of call that like a new type of Control Warrior, because it is going to be slower, but you're going to be playing it a different way. But one of the big reasons Taunt Warrior always sucked was like, how do I end? Here you go.
Yeah, like I'm making this game last a long time, but I'm never killing the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Taunt Warrior is going to be a thing. It's going to be a little bit before
which
we talk.
I'm excited by.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about more taunt minions as we go. But first, we need to talk about the next warrior spell, Sudden Genesis, which is going to cost you 5 mana to cast. and you summon copies of your damaged minions.
Which will not go towards your quest, even if they're taunt minions, because it's play taunt minions, not summon taunt minions.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you really have to pay attention when you're doing your quests.
This is already like instantly better than Blood Brothers, though, because
Blood
Warriors?
Blood Warrior, whatever.
Blood Warrior,
Blood Brothers. A card that never saw play.
Yeah, Blood Brothers
one
is...
time Hot Meowth tried to make it work and got stomped.
Yeah.
That card put them back in your hand. You had to replay them again.
Exactly.
Right? So whether they're just going onto the board is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You know.
Now playing them again is good if they're taunt and you're trying to quest, but really just getting those copies on the board, that's solid. That's pretty solid. And
so you can, like Whirlwind and then immediately double your board presence, right?
Yep, exactly. And there's Cornered Sentry we'll talk about in a second. You're going to be wanting to Whirlwind with that card, not to mention plenty of other reasons from basic and classic cards that are still here why Whirlwind is good. So. Yeah,
and now I don't know if that makes it actually good, but it's better than that card. That's all I'm saying. Like, still, it's 5 mana. You're going to have to get kind of a lot of value out of that 5 mana, and you're also going to have to activate by doing some trading and stuff like that. Could still be like a bad card, but has some better applications.
Yeah. It's balanced, right? Like, if this card was any cheaper, it'd be a lot easier to combo it with playing a minion or two on the same turn, plus Whirlwinding, plus Sudden Genesis.
So I'm seeing people in chat say patrons. I don't think you play this with patrons, because with patrons, you're just generating more patrons anyway. So I don't think you need a spell that costs 5 mana to make more patrons. You have whirlwinds and whirlwind effects and 0 mana deal 1 damage. That's how you make more patrons. You don't play 5 mana for like 3 more patrons.
Yeah, you're winning more at that point. At that point, it's a win more card.
There's other tools that are better for making more patrons.
Yeah, so. You're already winning. You don't need to double them up. So let's
that's a wild deck anyway, because those are black.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly. We can still talk wild. It's okay. We can still do it.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, wild's gonna be a thing, man.
So stoked.
I feel like they designed a lot of cards that we've seen that are like wild in mind, right?
Direhorn Hatchlings next. This is a 5 mana 3/6 beast for warriors with taunt and a death rattle that reads: shuffle a 6/9 Direhorn with taunt into your deck, and that 6/9 costs you 5 mana as well. Yes. So obviously designed with Fire Plume's Heart, the quest in mind. Here's a minion that wouldn't be terrible to have on board and damaged when you Sudden Genesis, but it is a 5 mana minion, so that happening is going to be a bit difficult.
Well, we already have a 5 mana 3/6 taunt, right? Fen Creeper.
Yes.
So here's like Fen Creeper power creep.
Were you playing Fen Creeper though?
No, but
then it's not power creep.
That's the card that gets drafted.
It's not power creep.
Hatchling will definitely get drafted in Arena for sure, and could actually see constructed play. So.
Okay, so it's power creep in Arena. It's not power creep in constructed. You weren't playing Fen Creeper.
Yeah, it's still power creeping in Arena. Arena's a thing.
Arena matters.
Arena matters.
I'm not arguing.
Power creeped Arena. Yes.
Right. Whatever.
It's a class card though. It's okay for class cards to be better than neutral cards.
I think this might be my nominee for cutest out of the set. Just saying. This one
little baby.
is adorable. Yes. Adorable card.
For me, I think it just wins. Like, I think it just wins.
There's some pretty cute little turtle guys, but yeah, I think this might be it.
But I would much rather go and pet this thing than a turtle guy, because I know what turtles smell like. So, yeah. Anyways, obviously, I think you're playing this if you're trying to complete your quest.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Cornered Sentry is next, which I also think you're going to be playing if you're trying to accomplish your quest. This is a new 2 mana 2/6 minion for warriors with taunt and a battle cry that reads: summon 3 1/1 raptors for your opponent. So this was the card I was alluding to earlier, where you're going to be wanting to combo this with Whirlwind to take care of the raptors you're summoning for your opponent. But I think that's totally fine. It's 2 mana. You can fit a Whirlwind in there. You can fit a Frothing Berserker in there in some cases. You can fit a Acolyte of Pain in there. I like this card.
Yeah, I think Acolyte of Pain is probably the most likely scenario where you like play this and then you play Acolyte next turn and you got 1/1s to do stuff on. A 2/6 is not going to die to those 3 1/1s. If they want to spend buffs on those, that's fine. Also, you've got Mind Control Tech. There's other things. There's plenty of things you can do with this. So if you have a deck that's kind of built around doing cool stuff, Sure.
Yeah, I've seen the mind control tech thing thrown around a bit. I don't think that's as good. You're very likely to just get a 1/1 Raptor. I think you much would rather.
It's still all right,
get
though.
Whirlwind
I mean, the
value.
mind control tech is not a card. Like, I don't think in Constructed that's what you do, but I think in Arena you already have a mind control tech in your hand. You feel
Fair
much
enough.
safer to be able to play this Cornered Sentry into a board when you can now mind control tech at least one of those 1/1s back to your side and get value off your MCT. So,
I was talking Constructed. I didn't know you were talking Arena.
well, I talk all of it when I talk these cards.
Gotcha.
I play all the things. So.
All right. Well, specify, man. Specify. Because I've been people who are like, I'm putting mind control deck. I'm like, have
Yeah, I
fun.
probably don't put that in your
Have fun.
Constructed.
I don't think you're going to be excited when it happens. But
That only goes in Reno decks, and Reno's going away. And also, you don't play Reno with Warrior because you don't get Kazakas. So
exactly. Exactly. So, but all in all, I think Cornered Sentry is a damn good card and plays towards the quest. So bring it on. Tar Lord, another Tar minion for Warriors. Which did we talk about this already? I feel like we may have.
no,
we didn't. Okay,
we didn't.
I don't think we did. No.
So this is a 7 mana, 1/11 elemental minion with taunt, and like all of the other Tar minions, has more attack on your opponent's turn. In this case, +4 attack. So it's a 5/11 on your opponent's turn, a 1/11 when it's your turn. But again, it's taunt. It's going to play towards that quest, and that is so much health.
That's a lot of health to get through.
Yeah, as long as you're not going up against a priest, man, I think Tar Lord's going to get you some value.
Yeah,
Well, I
this
mean,
is
poisonous
good.
is a thing too, right? So
It is, but poisonous charge isn't a thing, right? Like they're going to need to play the minion, they're going to need to adapt it, they're going to need to find the poisonous adapt, what they're not guaranteed to do, and then they're going to need to wait a turn to attack.
Well, you could play a boar and paladin and adapt it into poisonous.
There you go. There you go. I'm not
still using
I'm not
two
saying
cards.
there's no scenario
Yeah,
where that
this
doesn't
is a
happen.
It's a fine card for the quest purposes. Totally good. I think you'll also see it drafted quite a bit in Arena.
Mhm.
It's a big old body.
Yep.
But here's the beauty of these cards. They're not threats, right?
Mhm.
Like you can kind of choose to ignore them if you're the opponent until you've got like a situation built up where you can kill it cleanly. So
Yeah, but I mean, can you ignore it that much though? You can ignore it with spells. If you're trying to make anything happen with your minions or your weapons, you can't ignore it.
no, but what I'm saying is like it's not something that's like ever going to pressure your own face, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how the best way to deal with these is. It's
Yeah.
right now it's like still undetermined because we haven't played against them enough. But at some point, people will start to figure out the best way to handle them.
Yeah.
And it might just be to ignore them, right? I mean, there's some minions like, forever Sylvanas was just like, oh no, what do I do? And then you kind of figured out like ways to deal with Sylvanas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a card like over time, people will develop strategies for dealing with this. And who knows? Ignoring them could be a thing.
Yep. Well, let's talk about Ornery Direhorn. Love the word ornery. Don't get to say it enough. This is a new 6 mana 5/5 beast for warriors that has taunt and a battle cry that adapts. You get 1 adapt off the battle cry of Ornery Direhorn and also get a taunt towards your quest.
Yeah, pretty much all the adaptions outside of Poisonous are going to be pretty damn good to put on a 5/5 with taunt for 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get a 5/5 with a Divine Shield or a 5/5, 5/8 with taunt, or, I mean, a lot of this stuff is going to, or 6/6. It's going to be good. I think this card's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm excited about taunt, guys. I never thought we'd live to see this day. I'm excited about taunt. No.
Oh, there is a taunt adaptation.
There is a
too,
taunt
right?
adaptation.
You could get trolled with.
You can just not.
But you just don't pick it.
Just
It's
don't
fine.
don't pick that
Yeah.
one. You have 2 other options in that scenario. Also, don't pick stealth if you actually want the taunt that comes built in
Sure.
with your Ornery Direhorn.
if you need the taunt part of it, sure. But if you pick stealth, at least you know you got a 5/5 coming back next turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Still okay.
Final warrior card to discuss: Ironhide. This is a new 1 mana common spell for warriors. Gain 5 armor. I like this in standard for control warrior because we're losing Justicar.
Yeah, but I don't know if you put this and shield block into your deck, and you probably just choose shield block over this. So, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. And I don't think you take it ever in Arena, because just gaining 5 armor is pretty bad.
There's a scenario late in the draft where you do if you picked up some shield slams and stuff like that. But
Yeah, but you generally that's a card you generally just don't take in Arena because it's not consistent, right? So But yeah, I don't know.
I didn't say it was a good scenario. I said it's a
Possible
scenario.
that this does make it somewhere somehow. But I just feel like if Shield Block was going away, then this would definitely have a place because it enables some other stuff. But with Shield Block sticking around for generally ever, then I don't know if, because for 2 extra mana and the combination of one card doing 2 things, you gain the card and you gain the armor. So I think it's not going to see much play, but we shall see.
I mean, I'm not that excited for traditional Control Warrior anyway. I'm just glad that some other extra additional way to gain armor is being added to the game in case you want to go down that route, make it try to happen. And who knows, Taunt Warrior might fall on its face and it turns out Control Warrior is a thing again. But I just like
if Yogg Control Warrior comes back,
Yeah.
woo, yeah, please no. All right, neutral.
Yogg is still fine. It's just just sometimes it sucks.
You're missing my personal battle with Yogg, Dills. I hate it. I hate that card. All right, neutral cards. I'm going to just not give opinions on this. We're going to rapid fire this. I'll let you guys do the opinions. I'll just read them, okay?
Okay.
Sure.
Sound good?
We've already
Spirit
talked about a bunch of these too, I think.
Yeah.
Spirit Singer Umbra. 4 mana, 3/4 legendary minion. After you summon a minion, trigger its death rattle effect.
This card's bad.
Joss?
It's kind of good because it does work with the Druid turn your mana into minions thing. So like you play this turn 4, play that turn 5, and then you get all your mana back.
That's
and
great.
then
that's a great.
you get
that's
all
a
your
great
mana
scenario,
back again.
for sure.
Right? So I think it has a place in Druid.
That's a super combo.
Yeah.
But it's like you can only put 1 of these in your deck, so it's going to happen. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
needs
gonna
to work
be rare,
with
and it
more
has to
cards in your deck,
survive,
right?
and-
Like
yeah.
Fandral Staghelm works with a bunch of your deck.
Yeah.
This needs to work with a bunch of your deck to be at all good. And so maybe like a priest application where you're already running a ton of death rattles, you can find a place for it. But most of the time, this card's not going to be that great.
The Vorax is next. 4 mana, 3/3 legendary minion. After you cast a spell on this minion, summon a 1/1 plant and cast another copy on it.
Buff
This is
Paladin,
good,
let's
yeah.
go!
I actually like this card. I know I said I wouldn't give opinions, but sometimes it's going to be hard.
Now, I guess my question is, if you're doing the last Kaleidosaur quest, does this double up? Does it count as casting
Count
it twice? Yeah. Because if that's the case, then this speeds up your process to get into your Galvadon quite a bit. So.
This card reads cast. It is written
Yes.
cast. So
Yeah, it says
should,
cast.
and if it doesn't, I'm going to go hog wild on a future
Okay,
episode.
so Proton in the chat says no, but now someone else is saying yes. Now it's saying no. No, it doesn't count twice. Okay. So apparently no.
Because the minion is doing the casting.
Which does make a lot. Yeah, okay. So it's like Yogg where the minion's doing the cast. So that makes it a lot worse, but still pretty cool.
Charged Devilsaur, an 8 mana epic 7/7 beast with charge. But it also has a battle cry that reads, can't attack heroes this turn.
This is how you should be doing charge. This is great.
And it is how they are doing charge.
Yep. You can't OTK with this guy, but he's going to be a very powerful minion for removing stuff and then sticking around. An 8 mana 7/7 with charge. It's like a removal spell that then leaves a body behind. It's going to be used for sure. Not necessarily in constructed, but in arena. I'm going to love this card.
Yeah, yes. I agree. I think this is an arena star. Also super
Hell
cool
yeah.
art. Oh, it's like a Paladin Tyrannosaurus. Sign me up. Primordial Drake. 8 mana, 4/8 epic dragon minion, which has taunt and a battle cry.
Oh, dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a proto Drake.
Is this the only one?
I think it's one of the very, very few.
It also has a
I'm trying to
battle
find another
cry.
one. I'm not seeing it.
It also has a battle cry, damn it. That deals 2 damage to all other minions.
Sorry, Garrett.
This is
I
an
think
arena card.
It is the only dragon.
Yeah. This is an arena card, by the way, for sure. Like, this is not a constructed card, I don't think. This is kind of like the Murloc, 6 mana 2/3 Murloc that deals 2 to everything. You're getting an 8 mana 4/8, and you're getting an AoE on top of that. So you AoE the board, and you leave behind a 4/8 taunt. That's not bad. A really good arena card.
I'm going to assume that this next minion is also a nominee for Jocelyn's Cutest Card Award. This is the Tortolan Primalist, an 8 mana 5/4 minion with a battle cry that reads, discover a spell and cast it with random targets.
Yeah, so the thing about the Dire Horn is that people will probably play it. This one, not so much. So it loses cuteness points because no one's ever going to see it.
Yeah, so I'm wondering about this. Like, if you were to cast, like, if you were to discover, like, Arcane Intellect, could it then, like, draw 2 cards from my opponent?
I don't know.
I think it could.
The target can, like, I don't think so, because there's not technically a target on that
It's not
spell,
targetable,
right?
yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
So I think you would just draw 2 cards. So I don't know. It's still bad. It's just bad. You pay a few more, like, Yogg's Servant never saw play.
Mm-hmm.
And pay a little extra mana to be able to discover the spell. Nah. I
Yeah,
don't think so.
eight is a lot of mana.
But you
for
like
a
if you could discover
5/4.
like a flame strike, it would always hit the opponent's board, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. So it's probably cost this way because it would be really powerful if it was like 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess it could be. Would it still favor your class cards? Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Generally, anything with discover is always going to favor your class cards. So.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think you'll see play in arena. You might just because it can be up against some really bad stuff, and yeah, finding some really good AOE or something like that you know is going to go to the right place. Sure, could be very cool.
Blaze Caller, a 7 mana, 6/6 epic elemental minion with a battle cry that reads, if you played an elemental last turn, deal 5 damage.
Probably
Okay.
good in Shaman because they have the 6 mana deal 3, right?
Yeah, fire elemental into
Fire
Blaze Caller.
elemental, yeah.
You're just controlling the board in a huge way. So,
Mhm.
also though, I mean, like I think any class that's playing elementals is probably playing Blaze Caller.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing elementals, you probably want a 7 mana 6/6 that deals 5 damage.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. Bitterhide Hydra, 5 mana, 8/8 epic beast with, it says, whenever this minion takes damage, deal 3 damage to your hero.
Oh damn! Fell Reaver's back. Fell Reaver's back on the menu, boys. Yeah, this is a really good aggro card for sure. But I like that it's like an aggro card that comes out later. It's not like we're getting swarmed on turn 1 and 2. I love the idea of a drawback card on 5 that's just a huge body that slams you in the face, but has counterplay. So I mean, I could cast some kind of pinging stuff into this and be dealing a whole bunch of damage to your face. Better drawback than the burning of 3 cards because that didn't matter at all to the aggro deck. He's like, whatever, dude. I don't care about that. All I care about is racing you down. This allows you to like turn the race back on them. So
Yeah.
well-designed card. Very cool. We'll see some play, I think.
Bright-Eyed Scout is next, as we already talked about Gentle Megasaur. Bright-Eyed Scout is 4 mana, 3/4, has a battle cry that reads, draw a card, change its cost to 5. I will never play this card.
No, I don't think anyone plays this
You got
card.
to have a heavy-ass deck before you
Yeah.
even consider this card.
Yep.
Because sometimes it'll be amazing, right? Like sometimes you'll get, a 10-cost card and you'll be able to play it on the very next turn. But that's not going to happen often enough unless your deck is built specifically for that reason. Could see it maybe in like a Hemet type thing where you get rid of all your cards with less than 3
With low
cost,
cost.
and then you play this, and then you get guaranteed something big.
She's a dwarf explorer. I could see her hanging out with Hemet. He seems vaguely biased towards hanging out with only his own race.
I mean, that's where it goes, right? If we're theory crafting where this card could end up, that's where it goes.
Yeah.
But outside of that, probably nowhere else.
Yep. Already talked about Gluttonous Ooze. Let's talk about Emerald Hive Queen, a 1 mana 2/3 beast. It's epic. Your minions cost 2 more.
In Wild, you still play Zombie Chow.
Yeah.
It's just a much better drawback. This is I don't think this is like the new Zombie Chow at all. Your minions costing 2 more is pretty bad, man.
Yep.
Yep. I
It
think
throws off your whole early game. You
this is
can't
like a
even play a
1-mana
1-drop on
3/3?
turn 2.
Sure. Okay, but Super Control Rogue could like play this on turn 1 and then Dagger on turn 2 and be
Yeah,
fine
I
with
guess.
that. But
I don't know.
I just don't see it.
No.
there will be a scenario where you begrudgingly take this in Arena.
In Arena, it's
Yeah.
but again, like it depends on what your deck looks like. If you got a curved style deck, you don't want it. But if you got a lot of spells and not a lot of early game, then it's a great card to kind of bridge you into your mid game, right? So
Yeah.
could be something there.
Yep. Volcanosaur already talked about last week, as a matter of fact. Frozen Crusher is next. This is a 6 mana 8/8 rare elemental minion. After this minion attacks, freeze it. This minion, not whatever you attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it attacks every other turn.
Yep.
But still, 6 mana 8/8 is pretty solid. They could have made this a 5 mana 8/8, honestly, because like this could have been the 5-mana 8/8 as well, where you kind of decide which one you want. This one's a little more of a control thing, not an aggro thing, though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try this in Arena a few times. Constructed, probably never.
Servant of Calamos, we already talked about, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Tolbir Stoneshaper already talked about.
Stoneshaper we did, yep.
Stonehill Defender is next. It's a 3-mana 1/4 rare minion with taunt and a battle cry that reads, discover a taunt minion.
Aw, damn.
Taunt warrior.
Yeah, this goes in your warrior deck, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rip Silverback Patriarch. Sorry.
Because that was seeing so much play before.
Yep.
So much play.
But now just completely ripped.
Yeah. Devilsaur Egg is next. This is a 3-mana 0/3. Yes, a new egg. Death Rattle. Summon a 5/5 Devilsaur. Going in my egg, Druid. What up?
Hell yeah. This is really good, man. I mean, if Zoo comes back, this goes in Zoo. This is a 5/5? Holy crap. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I think this card is fantastic.
By the way, I've had multiple people asking me what Egg Druid I'm playing. I'm just playing the Tempo Storm Egg Druid. If you go to Tempo Storm, go to Wild section and look up Egg Druid. That's what I'm playing. It can draw really.
It's a good deck.
Poorly,
It's really good in Wild. I mean, it's one of those things that just kind of creeps up on people where they think they're winning, and then all of a sudden you're like,
nope, double Savage
board, Soul of the Forest. What up?
It's a spine breaker. At a certain point, enough buffs go out on your minions where they're just like, I give up. I love it. So, Devilsaur Egg, great addition to the egg family. I'm excited about it. Vicious Fledgling is next. Man, this is the only card where I look at it, I'm like, this art does not match anything else I've seen in Ungora.
It's a little odd, yeah.
It's a little
cartoonish.
It's a little Trapper Keeper from the 90s. Anyways, it's a 3-mana 3/3 rare beast that reads, after this minion attacks a hero, adapt.
So it's kind of like it's got some engine qualities to it, right? Where if you don't take care of it, it just keeps getting bigger and more annoying and whatever. So that being said, it's really easy to take care of the turn it's played most of the time. I don't see this being in any constructed deck, but I definitely see it being an arena card for sure.
Yeah, this is the card that's going to make me bring something out from like the first episode, I think, of Angry Chicken ever. Man, if flying was a thing in Hearthstone, this would be cool.
Yeah. But I mean, you can like attack face and then give it stealth, and then attack face and give it stealth, and like sometimes that'll happen.
Yeah, have to be lucky, but
yeah,
it's cool in theory, and I'll definitely pick it sometimes in arena. Humongous Razor Leaf. This is a 3-mana 4/8 rare minion that can't attack. It just reads can't attack.
Purify Priest. Here we go.
It's a new Ancient Watcher.
So it's a new Ancient Watcher, yeah. 4/8 instead of a 4/5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Purified Priest was looking for tools. Here's a tool.
That's a really mean thing to say about the people who play Purified Priest, Dills.
I'm just saying. They needed some more stuff. And maybe it becomes viable now.
Yep.
Maybe.
Our first vanilla minion, Ultrasaur, a 10-mana 7/14 common beast.
Cool.
With a really big head.
Yep. This is just like maybe you pick it in arena sometimes.
We call that in the art world for shortening. The body's really far away. His head is not actually that big. Giant Mastodon is next. This is a 9-mana 6/10 common beast with taunt.
Maybe arena sometimes. This is like another one of those.
I really like the way this Mastodon is drawn. I like the style of this.
Oh, the art is great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The art in this whole set is great. I feel like that was when they were doing the card reveal stream. That was like my #1 comment for every card, and then I was just like, "Wait, hang on, I need to actually think about these cards, not just ooh, pretty."
Someone's gonna cap that. Yeah, if you're an artist, who doesn't want to draw dinosaurs? So I'm sure when people got their like the kit and the direction for this, they're just like, oh man, I get to just draw dinosaurs all day. Sign me up. Sated Threshadon is next. A 7-mana 5/7 common beast, which has a death rattle that reads summon 3 1/1 Murlocs.
There's definitely an application if you're trying to summon a bunch of Murlocs, but
yeah, who would be trying to do that?
Shaman. I don't think it probably goes in there though. But this is actually a really good arena card because 7 mana, like 6 mana 5/7s, and they actually kind of see play. 7 mana 5/7 with an upside of 3/1/1s when it dies. Totally could see play. So I think we'll probably see this quite a bit in Arena, actually. This might be one of those good cards.
Stormwatcher is next. It's a 7 mana 4/8 common elemental minion with Wind Fury.
This is maybe the only decent Wind Fury card ever, and it's still not good. Right? Because 8 health means it's likely to stick around.
Alakir has Wind Fury.
Okay.
He's decent.
Yeah. Alakir, yeah. But again,
But he has everything.
He has the charge and the exactly. So the charge and the Divine Shield makes him stick around. Stormwatcher could actually live a turn, and then you've got kind of a dangerous minion on your hands. So they finally figured out how to do it, which is just give it way more health than it needed. That might, I don't know. So this might be actually an Arena card you pick with Wind Fury, because you never really do. They're all just such bad stats for their mana cost.
Sabertooth Stalker is next. A 6 mana 8/2 common beast with stealth.
I don't know about this one.
Yeah. Again, though, Arena. I mean, these are all like Arena cards.
Yeah.
You know,
That's where many neutrals tend to fall.
Yep.
Nesting.
So we'll see plenty of play there.
Yeah. Nesting Rock is next. A 5 mana 4/7 common beast with a battle cry that reads, if you control at least 2 other minions, gain taunt.
Do you think Warrior plays this?
I don't think any class in Constructed plays this.
I think better options.
Yeah. Again, Arena, you'll be fine with it. In Arena, you already play a 6 mana 4/7 with spell damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So a 5 mana 4/7 that sometimes has taunt could actually be pretty good.
This is a cool Arena card. I like it.
Yeah.
Stegodon. 4 mana 2/6 common beast with taunt.
Sure. This is the one that comes off of the Paladin spell, by the way, too. This is the token that comes off it. But it's also just a card on its own.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Fire Plume Phoenix. 4 mana 3/3 common elemental with a battle cry of deal 2 damage.
More goodness for Arena. I like this card in Arena actually a lot because we already currently consider a 5 mana 4/2 that deals 2 to be okay. So 4 mana 3/3 that deals 2 is even better because it comes out a turn earlier when 2 damage is a lot more viable. But cards that kind of give you, this is a card that is considered like gives you initiative, which is really important in Arena, where like you play a card that leaves a body behind and does something, and that's what this does. So you'll definitely see it there.
Igneous, I don't know. Igneous Elemental. 3 mana.
Igneous Elemental, yep.
Igneous, yeah.
3 mana 2/3 common elemental with a death rattle that reads, add 2/1/2 elementals to your hand.
So this one probably gets played, right? In elemental
Maybe.
decks?
It's enabling. It's enabling.
Well, that's the thing. Is because of the 2/1/2 elementals, I think this one probably goes in.
Yep. And it also gives elemental hope to Arena because it's in the common slot.
Sure. But it's I don't know, man. I don't know. You're making a really weak turn 3 to then like get those elemental turns in, but it's possible. If there's a gap in turn 3 or something like that where you need something, this is definitely something that could fill that for you.
Absolutely. Pterodax Hatchling, 3 mana 2/2 common beast with a battle cry, adapt.
Okay. This is a decent adapt card. And I think really good for Arena. If you can play a 3 mana 2/5, okay. That already kind of exists, but 3 mana 2/2 with Divine Shield, okay. Fine. 3 mana 2/2 with Poisonous, okay. Fine.
It gives you the flexibility, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a great card, but it's not a terrible card. It's like middle of the road.
Yeah. Also, it's a baby of that really pink Pterodax we saw earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Giant Wasp. Giant Wasp. 3 mana 2/2 common beast with stealth and poisonous.
That's really good.
That's really good, yeah.
That's amazing.
I think that's going to be like your include poisonous card if you're looking for something to be removal. I think hunters play that too.
Yeah, I mean, you just play it and then it's just going to kill something, right? So.
Yep. Also, I am personally actually terrified of spiders. I think I'm more afraid of stealth wasps now. I think that is actually the scariest thing I can think of.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because there was I don't know about Constructed for this card.
No?
No, I don't think so. Because, and if anywhere, beat Hunter, like you said. But the patient assassins like never seen play.
Yeah,
So,
these type of cards are typically just too slow for constructed play.
yeah.
There's
But like these are like all like everything here is like arena. Like these are all just super good for that.
But you're going to be getting a lot of random beasts in your hand as a hunter. Don't mind if this is one of them.
Oh yeah, it'll show up.
That's true too. Yeah, it will.
The random
yeah.
beast generating stuff will make it show up
Yeah.
for sure. That pool is huge, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's crazy.
There's a huge range on it, especially in Ungoro. Egg Napper is next. It's a 3-mana, 3/1 common minion with Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 raptors.
Eh.
Yeah. Nah, moving
Yeah,
on.
in
Cool.
arena this is fine though, because again, it's like it's gonna cause them to ping, and then it's gonna pull out some 1/1s. Totally fine.
Yep. Thunder Lizard, 3-mana, 3/3 common beast, battle cry. If you played an elemental last turn, adapt.
Yep.
Since this isn't an elemental, I don't think it goes into the elemental deck.
Yeah, that's the
though.
problem.
Like,
It puts
yeah,
a hole in your.
it does in your curve. But you could maybe play it turn 4 with one of the 1/2s that you generated earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it goes into constructed elemental
Good thing
deck.
it can't be an elemental beast, because that would be ridiculous. Double tribe tags. That was hard to say.
There we go. Maybe we'll get it one day. We already talked about Primal Fin, Lookout, and Tar Creeper. Let's talk about Volatile Elemental, a 2-mana 1/1 common elemental minion with a Death Rattle. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion.
I love that it's minion. Let me just start there.
I love that it's enemy
This is
minion.
what they should probably be doing with these types of cards. Is just specify minion to begin with, and then price them accordingly. And I think a 2-mana 1/1 that your opponent can kind of control when it dies if they want to. I think this card is actually perfectly fair, which means it's not good, and we'll only see play in arena. But in arena, it might actually be okay.
Yeah. Ravasaur Runt. Jocelyn, nominee?
Okay, somebody tweeted at me and was like, "Oh, this is your nominee for the cutest one." Guys, it looks high.
I love it.
He does. Hi, baby.
He's got little squinty eyes and like.
Never seen a
yeah,
puppy like squint and look at you, because that's what it looks like, and it's adorable.
I don't know. I don't think he's.
All right.
I don't think he's that cute.
All right. So Ravasaur Run is a 2-mana 2/2 common beast with a battle cry. If you control at least 2 other minions, adapt.
It's also going to be very difficult to have this go off on turn 2, so it's only ever going to really happen later.
Well, you could play Alley Cat and then.
Yeah, but they often kill one of them.
But yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like most of the time, they're not both there by the next turn. So yeah, it's sure that could happen sometimes. But this is a card that'll most likely come out later, and it'll be bad every other time. But you'll probably find a turn to get this to go off in arena sometimes. It'll be an okay card. It'll be like another middle of the road card.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
you can't consider it a 2-drop.
Yeah, I don't think you're sliding it in and constructed. Good in arena. It's okay if you find it from a random beast effect.
Yeah.
Stubborn Gastropod is next. This is a 2-mana 1/2 common beast. It's also a snail, everyone, with taunt and poisonous.
This card's awesome. It's just like, here I slam Deathwing, here I slam Stubborn Gastropod. Snail kills dragon.
I love this card.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. It's very, very cool. I again don't think constructed, but very, very cool. And again, beast though, so you'll discover it sometimes.
I was gonna say, yeah, all these beasts are going to be great when they come out of Stampede, though. So I mean, and especially there's a lot of really good, really low cost beasts that you can just throw right back into the Stampede and just keep that train going. So
yeah, totally.
Rockpool Hunter.
A 2-mana kill anything. It's just sweet.
Yeah, if it doesn't get removed first.
Yeah, which it most likely will.
Yep.
But they're gonna have to use removal on like a little tiny dude that like. That's fine.
Yep. Rockpool Hunter's next. It's a 2-mana 2/2 common, or 2/3 common Murloc with a battle cry that reads, "Give a friendly Murloc +1/+1."
This is a really good card.
It's really good in Murloc decks.
Yeah, if you're playing a Murloc deck, you definitely play this. Think about the Cleric, right? She's a 3-mana 3/2 that gives +1/+1. This is a 1-mana cheaper for the same amount of actual stats, just reversed, and still the +1/+1. You're only playing it if you're already playing Murlocs, so it's like a better Cleric. This is a really good Murloc.
I want more.
Instantly goes in every Murloc deck.
I want more caveman Murlocs. I love the ridiculous brow on this guy. It's amazing. Emerald Reaver is next. 1 mana, 2/1, common beast, battle cry, deal 1 damage to each hero.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is pretty poopy.
Straight garbage.
Yep. Cool. Firefly, we already talked about. Glacial Shard is our last card. We did it.
Yay!
1 mana, 2/1, common elemental, battle cry, freeze an enemy.
This is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll
take this in arena.
Slot a freeze in at any moment, right? So
Seems good.
you could put this in a mage deck with your. Finally, you can kill
Sure.
your frozen minions, right? I don't know. Probably not, but
But maybe.
yeah, and it's an elemental, so it's like a stall card to get to like big elemental turns later and activate your elemental stuff.
Yep.
Probably not a constructed card, but very good arena card, and maybe has some play in constructed.
Yep. All right. That's going to do it for what may have been the longest episode of the Angry Chicken ever.
We're coming up
Now
on
I think we
3
did
hours.
almost the same amount last week. So
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But whatever the case is, I believe this is in store.
Hype.
So enjoy that, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Got to thank our patrons before we go. If you enjoy this episode, if you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoy the Angry Chicken and the 3 of us, or even maybe just 2 out of 3 of us because nobody likes me, you go to patreon.com/TAC. It's the best way to support us. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Declan H. and Peter Williams. You guys are insane with your generosity for the show. And also this week, we wanted to thank the following patrons. Thank you to Soldier Hawk, Sandra H., Sean C. I don't ever say the whole entire last name, so yes, Sean Connery does support this podcast. John S., Angel M., Morton P., Sandra R., and Local Clovis. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. We very much appreciate it. And again, if you enjoy The Angry Chicken, check out patreon.com/TAC and consider supporting us. Other than that, the entire back catalog of episodes can be found on youtube.com/amovetv or just go straight to amove.tv/TAC. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast and catch us live Tuesday nights at 4 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Also, thank you to BrianGriffithMusic.com for our intro and outro music. Dills, where can folks find your work?
check me out, twitch.tv/Willie Dills, and also at Twitter, at Willie Dills on Twitter. There's going to be a lot of arena coming up, by the way, this month, because I didn't get to my 30 runs because WrestleMania happened. So
Aw.
expect a lot more arena because I'm going to try again this month. I think this will be a good month to try because everything's new.
It's a good excuse. WrestleMania was pretty solid. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed watching
I
from
was at
home.
like 27 runs when that weekend started, and I was like, there's no way I can find the time to do 3 runs.
Oh.
Which is fine because I ended up, I dropped my average down to about 5.6, which wasn't going to make it unless I like went on a sick run of like 3 12s in a row or something. So we tried and we were close for a while, and then we fell off, and then we stopped caring because we weren't going to make it anyway. So.
That's cool, man. You know, take a break.
Yeah.
The expansion's coming out, and then hit it up in maybe a month or 2.
Exactly. And I think I learned quite a bit about the arena changes that will still be in effect when this new cards come out. So I'm feeling good about this month. We're doing it. April's the month.
Cool. Oh, so you're not taking a break. Sweet.
So I'm going to play tons of arena this month. I mean, I'm definitely going to mess around with all the constructed decks, but I'm going to go back to my EU account. I'm going to go nuts with arena.
Nice. Jocelyn, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. You can also find me right here on twitch.tv/amovetv every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for The Gamers In, which is my general gaming podcast. This week, I have a guest joining me, and we are going to spoil the crap out of Horizon Zero Dawn, which is like one of my favorite games ever. So, going to be a good show this week.
Folks, you can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. Every podcast I do can be found on amove.tv, so go check that out. Might I recommend Into the Nexus, because Heroes of the Storm has just as much, if not more, insane new stuff coming to it. So if you like that game, you want to stay up to date, check out that podcast as well. Other than that, check out nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. If you need a graphic designer, consider me. Yeah. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yeah!
Huzzah!
Woot woot! All right, that does it for the show.
That was a long friggin' show.
Yeah, real quick, chat room asked if we're doing both triple-headed chicken and the pack opening on Thursday. Probably not. We only do one triple-headed chicken a month because we dropped below that goal for 2 a month. So, yeah. one a month, and pack opening is going to take enough time. So
Yes.
that'll be our stream on Thursday. Also, because we don't know what the hell time we're going to start that damn thing. That's another thing too. Don't know when that's going to happen. So, thank you for the health wishes, everyone. And I'm starving, so stream over.
Yeah,
See you
I
later.
need to eat like
Yep.
now.
I'm out. Good show. Peace.
Bye, stream.